Drinking black tea calmly at Hogwarts. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 151. Give a Chestnut. For the first time, Hogwarts students saw their headmaster lash out. Zhang Su, the man of the day at Hogwarts, was nodding his head incessantly, being taught by the headmaster. At the same time, he was holding a long iron rod in his hand, and the top of the iron rod was connected with 2 strings of flesh and blood tied with wire. An hour later, Zhang Su brought Furin, Gabriel and Dongia, who had finished breakfast, to the chestnut forest on the edge of the Forbidden Forest. Golden autumn and October is the season when wild chestnuts in the UK are ripe. Hogwarts is located in the north, and the day of chestnut ripening is later than that in the south, which happens to be around Halloween. The chestnut forest on the edge of the Forbidden Forest occupies a very large area. Whenever the chestnuts mature and fall to the ground, many animals in the Forbidden Forest will come here to eat chestnuts, and the horsemen living in the Forbidden Forest will also come to pick up chestnuts. Go back and eat. If you are lucky, you can also meet unicorns who come to eat chestnuts here. However, for safety reasons, students will only move around the fringes. When Zhang Su and his party came to Chestnut Forest, there were no other students here. There are mainly 2 kinds of chestnuts in the wild in the UK, one is wild chestnut and the other is horse chestnut. Wild chestnuts are like the chestnuts we often eat, covered with fine thorns. The skin of horse chestnut is relatively smooth, and the thorns on it are thin and thick, and it is poisonous and cannot be eaten. In the Chestnut Forest, Zhang Su gave everyone a canvas bag, and specially gave Gabriel a long clip for her to hold the chestnuts on the ground. "Hi everyone, what are you doing?" A person at the edge of the Forbidden Forest greeted Zhang Su and the others in substandard English. "Hello, Crumb." Zhang Su greeted, "We are picking chestnuts." "We seem to have met somewhere," Crumb said. "Yes. I received you by the lake last night. During the Quidditch World Cup match, we were in the box on the top floor of the stadium at the end, and we were in it." Zhang Su said, "My name is Zhang Su, from Huaxia, a student of Hogwarts, and also serves as an acting professor of Muggle Studies. He is also the goalkeeper of the Ravenclaw College Quidditch team." Then Zhang Su introduced several others to Crumb. "This is my girlfriend, Fleur Delacour of Boxbuttons, and she is also Boxbuttons Chaser. This little girl is Fleur Delacour. My younger sister, Gabrielle Delacour, is also a student of Boxbuttons. That is Tonya Tumanova, and she is Boxbuttons Seeker." After hearing that Tonya was also a Seeker, Crumb's eyes lit up. Seeing Crumb's expression, Zhang Su knew why this guy came to say hello to them. "I hope you have a good stomach and a good liver," Zhang Su thought silently. "Are you picking these up to make potions?" Crumb asked. "Haha, this is not for refining potions," Zhang Su said with a smile. "This is for eating." "Don't Hogwarts students still cook for themselves?" Crumb asked confusedly. "For some Hogwarts students, cooking is a hobby," Zhang Su said. "It is a wonderful experience to turn ingredients into delicious dishes with your own hands. After you stay in Hogwarts for a while, you will feel the unique charm of Hogwarts." Looking at Crumb, who was stunned, Zhang Su smiled. "Let me help you too." Crumb took out his wand and said, "Be careful you 3." Seeing Crumb waving his wand, Zhang Su immediately jumped in front of Gabriel, and used his wand to create an ice shield to block the chestnuts flying from all directions. After Furin and Dongnia heard Zhang Su's warning, they also immediately, that is to say, he set a shield for himself. As wizards, Zhang Su and the others did not use magic spells such as the Flying Curse to collect all the chestnuts, but used the magic wand to pick up the chestnuts one by one into the bag like now. There is a reason. The crux of the problem is that the skin of the chestnut is covered with sharp thorns. If you rashly use the Flying Curse just like the current Crumb, the red robe he is wearing is covered with chestnuts. Facing the thorny chestnuts flying in all directions just now, Crumb panicked all of a sudden. Fortunately, he opened his shield at the last moment, otherwise his face would have become pockmarked. But in this way, Crumb also collected enough chestnuts. Then everyone sat around the chestnut pile, peeling chestnuts and chatting. Now everyone knew that Crumb was Simus Haozi's heart, and he sat next to Tonya all morning, talking about Quidditch non-stop. Tonya behaved quite well. Zhang Su and Sister Furin were talking about their own wards together. After a busy morning, Zhang Su led friends from Boxburton and Durmstrang to the side of the Lakeside Food Association. Today is Halloween, and it's the weekend again. There are already many students from the 3 schools gathered here. Not far away, on the flying track of the flying club, a flying competition is going on. Looking at the costumes, the 2 contestants are from Hogwarts and Boxburton's respectively. Zhang Su brought an oven and various foods from the Food Association, and everyone will have barbecue at noon today. Facing this relaxed and happy atmosphere, Krum was a little uncomfortable at first. But all the players present here are Quidditch players. Under the common topic, Krum quickly chatted with Zhang Su and the others. Tanya took out a bottle, filled it with water, and threw a stone the size of a disposable lighter into the bottle. Zhang Su recognized that it was her work, a vodka stone that could turn clear water into vodka. At that time, Zhang Su bought a dozen of these vodka stones in her store and took them home as gifts. It is impossible for Boxburton and Hogwarts to provide students with vodka, so Tanya used this method to solve the demand for vodka. Under Zhang Su's persuasion, Dong Nihai didn't drink too much, and everyone still mainly ate butterbeer in the end. After chatting about Quidditch for a while, Krum changed the subject. Zhang, is the basilisk in front of Hogwarts Castle real? Krum asked a question that many Durmstrang wanted to ask. The fact that Hogwarts students killed a 1,000-year-old basilisk is known throughout Europe, but the specific details are only circulated in the UK, and foreign countries only know that there is such a thing, and they know nothing about the details. Spart knows more. Of course it's true. Zhang Su said after taking a sip of butterbeer. After we killed the basilisk, we peeled off its skin to make that specimen. After finishing speaking, Zhang Su took out a photo he took with the corpse of the basilisk in the hallway and handed it to Krum. Krum took the photo, his eyes widened. You killed the basilisk, Krum said in disbelief. Of course I didn't kill it alone. This is the collective contribution of our Hogwarts students. I only played a small role in it. Zhang Su said, and at the end I left. Wait, when I caught the murderer who released the basilisk was already killed. That's amazing too. Krum sighed. Then can you tell me what happened? We made a movie about the battle, and it will premiere this afternoon. Let's go to the movie together this afternoon, Zhang Su said. Chapter 152. It is common sense that there are 3 warriors in the Triwizard Tournament. After Zhang Su and the others were full of barbecue, they chatted while roasting chestnuts. The topic also developed from Quidditch to life in their respective schools. During the period, Krum and Ginny, who came over to eat roasted chestnuts, went to the nearby flying track to fly a lap of the obstacle course, and finally Krum won by a big score without any suspense on the trackside score list. Krum reached the top in the first battle. Just after 2 in the afternoon, the clouds in the sky began to thicken, and there were signs of rain. Zhang Su returned the oven, and went back to the castle with Furin, Gabriel, Tanya, Krum, and Ginny, who came to roast chestnuts to watch a movie. On the way, Zhang Su and his party ran into Harry Potter and his party, who had come back from Hagrid's cabin. After introducing each other, we walked towards the castle together. 3E Hagrid and Madame Maxime went first. 3E Ginny, who was following behind, was telling Harry about her match against Krum just now. 3 Then there was Krum, who was courting Tanya. 3UE. Then came Zhang Su and Fu Rong sisters, who were like a family of 3. Ron and Hermione, the 2 single dogs who walked at the end, followed the crowd to the castle while eating cold dog food. Suddenly, everyone has found a girlfriend. Ron said. Yes. Hermione nodded in agreement. It was Harry at the beginning. I didn't expect that even Hagrid has met someone he likes now. Ron said. Yes. Hermione nodded in agreement. At this time, Zhang Su, who was walking in front of them, suddenly turned around and said to Ron and Hermione, "Why don't you 2 live together? Maybe you will end up with a family full of children and grandchildren, and grow old together." Ron and Hermione looked at each other in bewilderment, and then the air suddenly became quiet. Immediately afterwards, everyone walked into the cafeteria that was temporarily transformed into a movie theater. The tables in the canteen were moved to the sides, and the chairs were neatly arranged in the middle of the canteen. A huge screen has been hung on the wall behind the professor's seat, which was originally the school badge. Zhang Su felt very familiar with the scene in front of him. Unlike in the 21st century, when watching movies, he could only go to movie theaters. In the 90s and, in his previous life and this life, the streets and factories in Huaxia often organized movies on weekends, and everyone moved to their home stool to the stadium to watch a movie. Hagrid and Madame Maxime were placed in the last row, and everyone else took the front seats. Sitting in front of Zhang Su were Neville Longbottom and Hannah's ironclad abo. From the smells on their bodies, they must have just returned from the greenhouse. After everyone sat down in a row and took out popcorn and drinks, the movie called Hogwarts and the Chamber of Secrets began. The name of the movie is naturally written by Zhang Su. The magic version of the movie projector was fixed in mid-air by magic, and the sound system directly used the campus broadcasting system in the cafeteria, and also created a surround sound function. At the beginning, the movie directly copied the titles of Disney movies, but the Disney castle was replaced by Hogwarts Castle. The story begins when the two girls found Ginny, who was injured and fainted in the corridor. From the perspective of several students including Harry Potter, Mrs. Norris and several students were attacked, the writing on the wall, and the ghosts in the Forbidden Forest. A series of events such as the battle with the spider swarm, the farce of the duel club, the collective discovery of the truth by the students, and the final decisive battle are connected in series. The shots of the basilisk attacking the students several times were specially elaborated by Zhang Su. They all watched the entire attack process from the perspective of the basilisk, accompanied by tight-paced, low-pitched background music. These shots were obviously very successful, and the audience was too nervous to speak. Gabriel, who was sitting next to Zhang Su, hugged Zhang Su's left hand tightly, and Fu Rong, who was on the other side, also tightly hugged Zhang Su's right hand. At the end of the decisive battle with the basilisk, a lot of live video was used at the time, and Archangel was used as the background music, which pulled the audience into the dangerous intense battle. A lot of content was naturally deleted and modified in the movie. For example, Hermione became Hermione. The biggest modification in the movie is the final battle between Zhang Su and Lockhart. It wouldn't be fun if this scene was shot according to the actual situation, so Zhang Su simply referred to the martial arts style of the Wong Fei-hong series of movies and made a scene of magic duel. In general, although this movie is full of various immaturities and flaws, it is still a success. After the 2-hour film was played, the audience applauded loudly, hoping to watch it again if they had the opportunity. A group of single dogs who had shown their faces in the movie ran to Boxburton's sister to strike up a conversation. Soon, the audience left the cafeteria amid heated discussions. The cafeteria had to be restored to its original state, and tonight the warriors of the Triwizard Tournament would be revealed. It was 6 o'clock in the evening, and the Halloween dinner began. Compared with last night's banquet, the dishes of tonight's banquet are relatively less, but the dishes based on pumpkin are still very delicious. It's just that everyone's thoughts are not on the dining table tonight. Except for Zhang Su and Gabriel, every face in the cafeteria is anxious. Finally, the food on the plates on the dining table disappeared, the voices of the students suddenly rose, and everyone was looking at the goblet of fire on the stage. Dumbledore stood up, and the students fell silent. The people on the professor's chair were also extremely nervous. Madame Maxim and Karkaroff's performance was not much better than their students. "Okay, the goblet is about to make a decision," said Dumbledore. "I guess it will take another minute. Listen, when the names of the champions are announced, I want them to go to the top of the hall, then walk along the staff table, into the next room." Dumbledore pointed to the door behind the staff desk. "They will get initial guidance there." Next, Dumbledore extinguished all the candles except those in the jack-o'-lantern, and the semi-dark dining hall made the funny faces on the jack-o'-lantern even more ridiculous. In everyone's expectant eyes, the flame in the goblet of fire suddenly turned red, and sparks burst out from the cup like a steel furnace. Then, a tongue of flame shot into the air, spelling out the name of the chosen champion. "Victor Krum!" Dumbledore yelled loudly. Applause instantly swept the entire cafeteria. Krum stood up from his seat in the snake courtyard and walked towards the professor's chair. During the period, Krum looked towards Zhang Su. Zhang Su smiled and raised his right hand and gave him a thumbs up to give him a thumbs up. When Krum walked into the room, he stood behind the door and looked outside. He was also waiting for the birth of the next warrior. The applause and cheers in the cafeteria subsided, and everyone waited for the birth of the second warrior. Soon, the tongue of fire in the goblet of fire spelled out the name of the second warrior. Fleur Delacour. The applause sounded again, but not as intensely as before. Fu Rong hugged Zhang Su beside her excitedly, and then kissed Zhang Su's lips. After spreading the dog food for about 30 seconds, amidst the booing, Fu Rong stood up, shook her smooth silver hair, and then walked to the room next to the cafeteria. Walking to the door of the room, Fleur shook hands with Krum, who was standing there. The next moment, Zhang Su asked a familiar smell. Turning his head, he found Tanya pouring vodka for himself. Seeing Zhang Su looking over, Duangnia, who was already in tears, sat in the position where Furin had just been, put her arms around Zhang Su's neck, and then poured vodka into Zhang Su's mouth. Fleur and Crumb, who were standing at the door of the room, turned black when they saw this scene. The cafeteria quickly fell silent again, and then the Hogwarts warriors appeared. The red flames of the goblet of fire shot high into the air again, spelling out the names of the Hogwarts warriors. Cedric Diggory, an unprecedented sound wave swept the entire cafeteria, and everyone was patting the table. Soon, the rhythm of everyone tapping the table suddenly became orderly, knocking on the table twice and clapping again. Bang 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 bang. Just when Zhang Su was worried that everyone would start singing "We Will Rock You," Cedric, who regained his composure, stood up. When he walked between the tables in Eagle Yard and Badger Yard, and walked to Zhang Chu suddenly stood up and hugged Cedric, then kissed him. Compared to Fu Rong, Zhang Chu's skin is still thinner, and he let go of Cedric after 3 seconds. Crumb, who was standing at the door of the room, suddenly felt a little overwhelmed. Everyone is a warrior, so why is there such a big gap? After Cedric shook hands with Fleur and Crumb, everyone entered the room together. The picture of the 3 warriors living in harmony made Dumbledore and the 3 principals very satisfied. But the relationship between Zhang Su is clear. Both Cedric and Fleur knew that if nothing happened, they would be relatives in the future, and Crumb is coveting Fleur's best friend. When the uproar finally subsided, Dumbledore exclaimed cheerfully, "Well, now our 3 warriors have been chosen. I know I can count on all of you, including Boxburtons and Durmstrangs. Other students, you will definitely go all out to support your warriors. By cheering for the warriors, you will also make a great contribution to this event." Suddenly, Dumbledore stopped talking, and he, like everyone else, noticed that the flames in the goblet had turned red again. The sparks in the goblet of fire burst out, crackling. The long tongue of flame suddenly jumped into the air, and another name was spelled out. Ron Weasley. Chapter 153. The most powerful spell at Hogwarts is. Most afraid of the air suddenly quiet. In the Hogwarts cafeteria, there was a moment of silence. Pat Moody, who just took out a flagon and wanted to take a sip of the compound soup, didn't even notice that the flagon in his hand fell to the ground. Zhang Su, who was sitting in his seat, also looked confused, because the parchment he threw into the goblet of fire said Hermione Granger. The flame in the goblet of fire went out like a switch, and a buzzing sound began to permeate the auditorium, which reminded Zhang Su of going to the bee farm to buy lychee honey when he was a child. Ron sat blankly on his seat, motionless, his eyes seemed a little absent-minded. Harry patted Ron on the shoulder, only to see Ron patted his hands, smiled, and said, "Oh, I've been hit." Then he fell back, clenched his teeth, and fell unconscious. Personnel. This paragraph is where Zhang Su's brain is strung together. It took a while for Ron to react. He turned his head to look at the classmates around him, and found that everyone was looking at him with their mouths wide open. Especially his twin brother. The 2 of them looked at Ron as if "We have been together for 14 years, but I don't know that Ron is a girl." Professor McGonagall walked to Dumbledore's side, and the 2 muttered a few words together. On the professor's seat, Dumbledore straightened up and nodded to Professor McGonagall. "Ron Weasley," Dumbledore shouted. "Ron, please come up here." "Go." Hermione urged in a low voice, nudging Ron slightly. After Ron stood up in a daze, Harry stood up too and gave Ron a firm hug. At this moment, Harry Potter turned into Liang Jingru, giving Ron enough courage. Then Ron walked towards Dumbledore, but his steps were still a little wandering. "Okay, go through that door, Ron," said Dumbledore, his face as cold as Snape's. Just as Ron entered, Ludo Bagman followed suit. At this moment, Zhang Su saw Dumbledore looking at him and motioned him to go over. When Zhang Su came to Dumbledore's side, he had already used magic power to dissolve the vodka he drank just now. "Do you have any idea?" Dumbledore asked Zhang Su. "No." Zhang Su shook his head. His expression was similar to Snape's now. "If it was Harry, I might still be able to guess something. But now it's Ron, I can't figure it out no matter what." At this moment, Crouch, Karkaroff, Madame Maxim, Professor McGonagall, and Snape came to Dumbledore's side together, and Zhang Su retreated out of the circle. At this time, the cafeteria was full of buzzing discussions. Just as Dumbledore and the others were walking towards the next room, Zhang Su sent a few words to several students through voice transmission. Then Zhang Su stood by the door of the room, listening to the bosses tearing each other apart. For some reason, Barty Jr. posing as Moody didn't stop Ron from competing. In the end, The principals reached an agreement that the 4 warriors will participate in the competition together. Except for Dumbledore, it is not surprising that the principals of the other 2 schools objected to this matter. If Zhang Su hadn't known in advance, he would have objected. When you sign up, you start to make small moves. Who knows if you will turn into non-Bangsy in Hogwarts in the next competition. Moreover, this competition was averagely funded by the 3 schools. 1 more person means an extra fee. The rent for renting a train is not cheap. The wealthy Hogwarts and Boxburtons can say that this is just a drizzle, but Durmstrang has a toothache. Fortunately, Dumbledore's century-old platinum and diamond-encrusted character is enough to convince everyone. If it is someone with a worse character, the competition might be ruined. The next step is to guide the warriors. Old Barty said to the 4 warriors, "The first project is to test your courage, so we are not going to tell you what it is. Dare to face the unknown is an important quality of a wizard, very important. The first project, it will be held on November 11th, and it will be completed in front of other students and the jury. Warriors are not allowed to ask for or accept any help from their teachers when completing the competition. When facing the first round of challenges, the only weapon in their hands is their own magic wand. They don't learn about the second program until after the first program is over. Because the competition is so demanding and lasts so long, the warriors don't take the school year exams. After the old baddie finished his guidance, everyone in the room dispersed. Zhang Su returned to the seat at the dining table and asked Orgia to take Gabriel back to Boxburton's carriage first, and then came to the gate of the castle to wait for a Furin to come out. Fu Rong, who came out with Mrs. Maxim, saw Zhang Su waiting for her, said something to Mrs. Maxim, and walked to Zhang Su's side. Fu Rong felt very angry about today's incident. She had already prepared to complain, but when she walked to Zhang Su's side and saw Zhang Su's dark and cold face, she couldn't say anything. No more exports. Zhang Su, who had been thinking about things and forgetting himself, didn't come back to his senses until Fu Rong called him from the side. As the saying goes, 1 autumn rain and 1 cold. There was a rain in the afternoon, which made the temperature in the evening colder and colder. Zhang Su hugged Furin by his side, and at the same time turned on the heating function of his robe. "Congratulations, my warrior," Zhang Su said to Fu Rong with a smile. "You don't even look at who I am," Furin said with her head held high. "There's a problem with this Triwizard Tournament. You have to be careful. Your safety is more important than anything else," Zhang Su said. "What's going on today? Why are there 2 warriors at Hogwarts?" Fleur asked. "I don't know, but I think this matter is strange, and there must be a big secret behind it," Zhang Su said. "Could it be those people from the Quidditch World Cup?" Fleur asked. "Not ruled out," Zhang Su said. "We will investigate these matters, so you can concentrate on preparing for the next game." After sending Furin back to Boxburton's carriage, Zhang Su went straight to the Hogwarts kitchen. At this time, many people had gathered in the kitchen, including Ron and Cedric, who had just been selected as warriors. Just now Zhang Su sent a message in the cafeteria, asking HTT to gather in the kitchen during the afternoon tea time after school and HD's Hogwarts defenders after the meeting. Everyone was asking how Ron managed to sign up, but Ron just kept denying it. "Okay, everyone, be quiet for a while, I have something to say." Zhang Su clapped his hands and said to everyone. Suddenly the kitchen fell silent. The only sound in the kitchen was the sound of wood burning in the fireplace. "First of all, I would like to congratulate Cedric and Ron on being selected as heroes by the Goblet of Fire," Zhang Su said, "although there are still some mysteries that have not been solved, but the matter has come to this point, and some things cannot be changed. Cedric, both Jack and Ron represent our Hogwarts. I hope everyone can support them. No matter who wins the 2 of them in the end, it is our Hogwarts victory. I don't think everyone wants to let Boxburtons and Durmstrang see our jokes." After hearing Zhang Su's words, the students nodded in agreement. "I got the exact news just now," Zhang Su said again. "Professor Moody said that the Goblet of Fire is a very powerful magic item. To deceive the Goblet of Fire and make him forget that only 3 schools participated in the competition, this required a particularly powerful confusion spell. Professor Moody guessed that Ron could only be entered as a 4th school student to ensure that he was the only candidate for that school, so that Ron could be the 4th warrior. Yet, Hermione said at this time, if Ron signs up as a Hogwarts student, then he will compete with Cedric for a place in Hogwarts. A 4th warrior appears. I don't think Ron is capable of giving the Goblet of Fire a particularly powerful confusion charm." Harry continued, "If he has this level, He can compete fairly with Cedric. I don't think Cedric can give it to the Goblet of Fire. Cedric nodded for such a powerful confusion spell from the Goblet of Fire. If Ron cast this confusion spell on the Goblet of Fire, it means that Ron's level is higher than that of Cedric, so he doesn't need to use it. Other methods have come to sign up. And we all know that Ron's level is not as good as Cedric's. Student Harry, have you ever considered your brother-in-law's feelings when you tell the truth so nonsense? But Ron also knew his own strength, and nodded after Harry finished speaking. So who signed up for Ron? George Weasley asked. I don't know yet, but Professor Dumbledore will investigate clearly. Zhang Su said, compared to who you is, I think we should first find out what benefits it is for that person to let Ron compete. You know, the Triwizard Tournament is very dangerous, and life-threatening. For a while, the students thought of borrowing a knife to kill someone. The faces of the twin brothers, Ginny and Harry, turned pale all of a sudden. Okay, let's talk about these things later. Don't make this guess. Especially Fred, George and Ginny, it's best not to tell your mother, so as not to worry her. Zhang Su said. Several red-haired heads nodded suddenly. The first task everyone has to do now is to help Cedric and Ron win the final victory. Zhang Su said, because I participated in the preparation of the game, I can't help them both, so I have to. It's up to everyone. In the following time, Zhang Su found a table and sat down to have a midnight snack, while everyone made a special training plan for Cedric and Ron. At this moment, a student ran over and asked Zhang Su, Zhang, do you have any powerful spells? Do you know what the most powerful spell in Hogwarts is? Zhang Su asked back. For a while, everyone became quiet, and everyone was looking at Zhang Su, waiting for his answer. Zhang Su waved the pumpkin pie he took a bite out of, and shouted, Professor Dumbledore is here. Immediately afterwards, the door of the kitchen opened, and Dumbledore, who was wearing a nightgown and holding a large mug, walked into the kitchen. A group of students stared at Zhang Su dumbfounded, while Zhang Su looked at Dumbledore in bewilderment while holding a pumpkin pie. What's the matter, everyone? Dumbledore raised his glass suspiciously and said, I'm just here for a drink before going to bed. Chapter 154 Things are messed up. It is not the first time that the students met Dumbledore in the kitchen. At first, the students were very nervous. Later, everyone saw that Dumbledore did not punish them, but just let them go back to rest early, so there was nothing to worry about. Just go back to the dormitory on time. An approachable principal, who solves homework problems for students in the classroom every Friday night, undoubtedly has a high prestige in the hearts of students. So when Dumbledore said that everyone should go back to the dormitory to sleep, the students went back very obediently. Ron Weasley and Mr. Zhang, both of you, please stay. Dumbledore said to Zhang Su and Ron. Dumbledore and Ron sat down at a table, while Zhang Su went to prepare something to drink. Zhang Su poured milk into a pot, then put cocoa powder, cinnamon powder and white sugar, and then put it on a small fire and stirred slowly. After the milk boils, add some rum to it and stir well. After filling a cup of hot cocoa with rum into the big cup brought by Dumbledore, Zhang Su also poured a cup for himself and Ron. On a cold night, drinking a cup of hot cocoa before going to bed is very helpful for sleep. Dumbledore said after drinking a small half cup in one breath. Ron, do you have any thoughts on what happened tonight? Dumbledore asked Ron. Ron was not at all prepared for what happened tonight. Although he is also eager to become a warrior and participate in the Triwizard Tournament, he already knows that it is just a fantasy, just like some people call their wives through the computer screen all day long. What happened tonight was like those two-dimensional wives who looked from the front and from the side suddenly jumped out of the screen. For Ron, he didn't know whether the happiness came too suddenly or the shock came too suddenly. Ron was always a little dizzy tonight. When someone asked him how he managed to sign up, he would just shake his head and say no, I'm not, I didn't. Now Ron began to calm down, especially what Zhang Su said to Harry and Hermione just now, made him feel that there must be something strange about this matter. I won't embarrass Hogwarts. Ron replied a little irresponsibly. Now that he found that there was no turning back, he could only fight it out. Ron has a crazy temper, which can be seen from the fact that he turned on the bragging mode after Black attacked him at night in the dormitory last time. Ron's constant craving for attention has something to do with his status in the family. It's just that his mentality is not very mature when he is under the attention of everyone. If he is full of self-confidence, he is a king, and when he underestimates himself, he is a bastard. So what Zhang Su and Dumbledore have to do now is to let him build up his self-confidence, and don't play it off and embarrass the school. Don't think too much about conspiracies. Zhang Su said to Ron, just concentrate on being a warrior and enjoy the fun brought by the Triwizard Tournament. Professor Dumbledore will teach you about other things to deal with. Next, Zhang Su and Dumbledore jointly poured dozens of caddies of chicken soup for the soul into Ron, and Ron adjusted his mentality. Now everyone looks at me very strangely, and they keep asking me how I signed up. Ron finally said. At this time, just smile. Zhang Su said to Ron, no matter what others ask, you don't need to affirm or deny, you just need to smile at them. Not long after, Ron was driven back to the dormitory by Dumbledore to rest, and only Zhang Su and Old Deng were left in the kitchen. Do you have any idea? Dumbledore asked again. No, Zhang Su replied, if it's Harry, it's also possible that Voldemort or a Death Eater borrowed a knife to kill someone. But if it's Ron, who would have such a feud with him or the Weasley family? I think so too. Dumbledore said, I have a guess. Could it be that Voldemort or the Death Eaters thought it would be too obvious to attack Harry directly, which would arouse our vigilance, so they planned to ask Ron for help? Open the breach. It's very possible. Zhang Su said, if Ron is used as a hostage to force Harry to obey them obediently, I think the chance of success is almost, % based on Harry's personality. Dumbledore nodded. Old Deng believed that if he himself fell into the water with Ron, Harry would definitely save Ron first. Is there any news from Voldemort and the Death Eaters? Zhang Su asked. The current situation is already messed up, and the plot cannot be used as a reference. Although he originally intended Hermione to take part in the Triwizard Tournament in place of Harry in the story, he had a plan accordingly. However, with Ron's strong intrusion, facing the possible intervention of a mysterious third party, his original plan had to be ruined. As it was about Harry's safety, Zhang Su had to be serious, otherwise he would be sorry that Snape taught him the sharp kitchen suit without a trace. Voldemort has returned to England, said Dumbledore, but I have never been able to find out where he's hiding and who is around him. Then we have to continue to use Harry as bait. Zhang Su said, with Voldemort's character, he will definitely not let others kill Harry, he will only do it himself. In Voldemort's, as long as Harry doesn't get out of our sight until he recovers, it's fine. Zhang Su wondered if the fact that Batty Jr. impersonated Moody would come out now, but after thinking about it, if there was a mysterious third party who could let him take the lead, he decided to let him go first. Do you have any idea about the magic that can restore Voldemort's body, Professor? Zhang Su asked again. No, Dumbledore replied, there are many types of black magic, and many of them are hidden deeply. I don't know all of them. Why don't you ask an expert in this field? Zhang Su said, I think that based on Voldemort's personality, there is a high chance of deducing which method he will choose, so that there will be clues. Ask who? Dumbledore asked. Gellert Grindelwald. After Zhang Su said the name, he noticed that Dumbledore's hand holding the cup trembled. There are clues to Voldemort's Horcruxes. Dumbledore decisively changed the subject. The Slytherin locket and the Hufflepuff gold cup are likely to be made into Horcruxes by Voldemort. But they are all missing. Zhang Su said that he would pay attention to this information. After a few more chats, they both left the kitchen and went back. After returning to his bedroom, Zhang Su found a person sitting on the balcony. Apart from Zhang Su himself, there are only 3 people who know the password of Professor Zhang Su's dormitory: Fu Rong, Gabriel and Scarlet. Sister, why are you here? Zhang Su sat on another rocking chair on the balcony, picked up the red wine on the coffee table and poured himself a glass. Oh hey, when I watched the moon with me, I called her Little Xianshan, but now that the newcomer is better than the old one, I call her Big Sister. I also watched Westward Journey during the summer vacation. What's the matter tonight? 3. Why, I'm afraid your girlfriend will come and catch you in bed. Shouldn't I say this when I'm lying on my bed? Let's go, let's talk on the bed. Semicolon, Cyrillic letter del. I'm afraid of you. Cut, I want to sleep, old lady, you are still young. Yes, let's talk about it when I'm not tender. I won't quarrel with you anymore. Scarlet said with a serious face, you have to be careful recently. Why, someone wants to do something to me. Zhang Su also put away his hippie smile. That's right. Scarlet nodded and said, someone asked me for help, but I refused. Who is it? Zhang Su asked. If you touch someone else's cake, they will definitely attack you. Scarlet said. You did what Ron did? Zhang Su asked in surprise. returned a favor from our family. Scarlet said, besides, since you and the Death Eaters are messing around, why can't I follow along? You already know. Zhang Su said awkwardly. I have known Moody since I was a child. I can still see some of his habits that others don't know. Scarlet said, you can deal with the Death Eater yourself, and I will leave it alone. Before the end of the semester, if you haven't dealt with it, I'll do it myself. Whoever wants to do it? Zhang Su asked. Those broom sellers have united. Scarlet said, don't underestimate them. You can see how powerful they are just because they haven't been able to sell Indian flying carpets to the UK for so many years. They don't know anything about power. Zhang Su laughed. Be careful yourself. Scarlet said, they wanted to use beauty tricks at first, but you didn't accept the cursed love letter. The Malfoy family also participated, Zhang Su said in surprise. Their family is so smart, how could they wade into muddy water? Scarlet said disdainfully, it's just that Malfoy is too stupid. Let's just leave it at that. Voldemort doesn't have the ability to deal with the Wheelies. And in the school, no one can attack his students under Dumbledore's nose. Zhang Su said, they want to. It's not that easy to move me. As long as you don't help them, I'm fine. Let me deal with you, they still can't afford that price. Scarlet said. Oh, can I ask first, how much can I sell for? Zhang Su asked. Priceless, are you satisfied? Scarlet gave Zhang Su a sideways look. Oh, it can be sold without a price, it's frustrating. Zhang Su said. Scarlet ignored him, stood up from the rocking chair, and said, okay, I'm going back. I won't come to your place in the future, so you can rest assured that you will love each other with your girlfriend. After speaking, Scarlet left without looking back. Chapter 155 The Hatchet is Coming? The second day after the selection of the warrior was Sunday. Originally, Zhang Su and Fu Rong had agreed to wait for her in the dormitory today, but Zhang Su didn't wait for Fu Rong to show up until it was almost lunchtime. When it was lunchtime, Zhang Su left the dormitory and went to the cafeteria to eat. When he came to the cafeteria, Zhang Su found that Fu Rong and Gabriel were already sitting at the dining table. What are you up to this morning? Zhang Su asked Fu Rong. Fu Rong didn't answer, just shook her head and smiled without saying a word. During the meal, Zhang Su talked to Fu Rong several times, but Fu Rong always looked at him with a strange smile, but didn't speak. Fu Rong's strange behavior made Zhang Su feel alarmed. In a weird atmosphere, a lunch was over. After eating, Fu Rong took Zhang Su to the outside of the castle. Walking to a place by the lake where no one else was around, Fu Rong took out a large bag of bread and handed it to Gabriel. Gabriel threw the slice of bread into the water, and the slice of bread floated on the surface of the lake for a while, and then a huge tentacle emerged from the water and grabbed the slice of bread under the water. Fu Rong let Gabriel play by the lake by herself, and then dragged Zhang Su to sit down under a big tree not far away. Zhang Su, who was not sure about the situation, sat down next to Fu Rong, waiting for Fu Rong to speak. No matter how dull Zhang Su was at this moment, he would think that Fu Rong had something to say to him. Unexpectedly, when Fu Rong opened her mouth, Zhang Su almost jumped up. Sister Scarlet came to see me this morning. Zhang Su, seeing Fu Rong's calm expression, not looking like she was going to draw a hatchet in the next moment, Zhang Su felt relieved. She chatted with me a lot, and I found that she cares about you very much. Fu Rong said lightly. Because my father saved her life before. Zhang Su said. I can't stop watching, Fu Rong said, there were two people who saved her back then. She also told you about me, Zhang Su said in surprise. Fleur nodded. Oh, I didn't want to hide this from you on purpose. Zhang Su said with a sigh, the time converter had a problem, and I happened to encounter that incident by accident. At that time, I couldn't do nothing, I just didn't expect this incident to have such a deep impact on her. Until now, I still have an unreal feeling about the incident at that time. The long-time trip last year still made Zhang Su feel unreal, just like when he was just born in this life. You don't understand a girl's heart. Fu Rong said, some people are concerned because of love, but some people love because of concern. What after hearing Fu Rong's words, Zhang Su was stupefied. I mean, she loves you too. Fu Rong said to Zhang Su with a smile. Didn't she fall in love with my dad at first sight? During the Quidditch World Cup, didn't you tell everyone I was her son when you saw her? Zhang Su had no choice but to sacrifice his own father in order not to be caught by the hatchet. So you have always regarded her as an elder and companion, Right. Fu Rong said, although sometimes you would joke with her in a mess, but when you joked, you regarded her as a good friend, right? Zhang Su nodded and said, she said it for so many years, she has already seen it. That's a lie to you. Fu Rong said, she just looked away from your father. After all, she knew that she was hopeless not long after that year. Then she put that feeling together to save her, and then disappeared. I don't see you, and I haven't heard from you. How can I let go of this kind of relationship for more than 10 years? If you suddenly disappear now, in another 10 or 20 years, I will always love you. Don't say such unlucky words. Zhang Su pressed Fu Rong's lips with his fingers. Zhang Su didn't know what to say anymore. In his previous life, he often saw a lot of really chaotic things in your circle, but he didn't expect it to be even more chaotic in his life. After thinking for a while, Zhang Su said to Fu Rong, actually, I can see a little bit, and she and I both know that under the teasing of fate, I can't respond to her love, because I only have love in my heart. You. So she and I are trying to avoid it as much as possible, not to set foot in this minefield. Actually, you can respond. Fu Rong said in a low voice. Why? I'm not that kind of person. If I have you in my heart, I won't provoke others. Zhang Su said. Zhang Su didn't think that he was long a ocean after living a new life like that, and he could open a harem without any regard for the world. Although there are many mistresses in the society, Zhang Su is not that interested, and he is a person who wants to mix with the state machine, so he must abide by the rules when doing things. For Zhang Su's future life plan, he is no longer satisfied with being a coat farmer as before. As the resources behind him increased, his ambitions also rose. While Mr. Zhao was still alive and still able to cover him, he planned to take a step or two ahead, follow the path of others, and leave others know where to go. Last year, in the house he rented in Hogsmeade, he used his laptop for a year to knock out a free instant messaging software. It took only 3 months to occupy almost half of the computers in universities, institutes and government departments across the country. Period. With the help of my family, the company with state participation has also been established, the company has been fully staffed, and Zhang Su has also completed the company's development plan. I will wait for the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications to announce the opening of internet access services to the public next year, and then I will start working hard. It's been a game. The career has started, the money future is bright, and there is no need to ask for trouble in lifestyle. For the love in my heart, Delicar is enough. If you love too much, your heart can't take it, and your kidneys can't take it either. At Hogwarts, there are many beautiful girls who want to date Zhang Su. If Zhang Su wants to pick up girls, he can get enough girls for a football team in minutes. It's just that he's not the kind of animal that thinks from the lower body. When he sees a beautiful girl, he just wants to jump on it. Zhang Su has a bottom line in life: everyone can be friends. If you go further, I'm sorry. Fu Rong was very satisfied with Zhang Su's answer, and Fu Rong kissed him on the face. Tell me about her being cursed. Fu Rong continued, that curse is very cruel to a woman. Zhang Su was surprised, then nodded. She said she could get around the curse using the Muggle method. Fleur continued. I don't think I'd mind if she asked you for help. At this time, Zhang Su broke out in a cold sweat. The magic course mentioned earlier was just a floating cloud, and now is the main part of today's proposition. Rich women in Hong Kong pay a lot of money to ask for a child. I saw small advertisements on the streets in my previous life, but I didn't expect it to fall on my head in this life. Let's talk about this matter in a few years. Zhang Su said seriously, we are still young now, let's discuss this matter in a few years when we are older. Zhang Su can only shelve the controversy now. Want to jointly develop? You think Zhang Su didn't see that Fu Rong's hand has reached near her magic wand? I said, aren't you afraid that I will be snatched away in the end? Zhang Su said after pinching Fu Rong's nose. Why should I be afraid? Fu Rong said proudly, I told them, if you want to grab it, just come, I have confidence in you and myself. In the communication between people, the most feared thing is to be suspicious of each other under the situation of unequal information. Many things can be easily resolved if we put them on the table together and explain them clearly. If things are covered up, it is easy to make people think wildly. If the ideas seriously deviate from the reality, then it will cause irreparable misunderstandings. Just like when Zhang Su first arrived at Hogwarts, many people thought he was having an affair with Zhang Chu. Later, the explanation was clear, and the students lost interest in gossip. As for Snape and Harry, the former is out of love for you, while the latter is a preconceived notion of a rebellious teenager. Even Dumbledore's endorsement of Snape is useless. Zhang Su doesn't expect to see it in the near future, until the two of them reconciled. In a transnational long-distance relationship like Zhang Su and Fu Rong, if one of them has suspicions about the other, and cannot explain it immediately, an irreparable rift will easily occur. If Scarlet hadn't gone to Fu Rong to clarify the matter today, Zhang Su would have gone to Fu Rong to make it clear in the near future. Although Scarlet's age is slightly lower than the combined ages of Zhang Su, Fu Rong, and Gabriel, she can't help but look young. It would be a lie to say that Fu Rong has no sense of crisis. Zhang Su and Fu Rong chatted for a while, and then they went to the lake to feed the squids with Gabrielle. Zhang Su also let out a sigh of relief in his heart, and finally did not usher in the end of the hatchet. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156. Gabriel, shall we play a new game? Furink said while stroking her sister's head. Okay, what are we going to play, sister? Gabriel asked. Let's see if the squid likes Brother Zhang, shall we? Fu Rong said, eating bread alone is not good for your health. Then Fu Rong threw a piece of Zhang Su into the lake. Then Zhang Su woke up from the nightmare. Looking at the slightly bright sky outside the window, Zhang Su looked at the bedside clock and found that the time was just right. After washing up, he changed into sportswear with a style completely different from that of Hogwarts, and then went to the lake to start his morning jog. Good morning, Crumb. Zhang Su greeted the swimmers in the water. Good morning, Zhang. Crumb also straightened up and greeted Zhang Su. I heard that you enrolled in my class, Zhang Su asked. Yes. Crumb replied, I heard from Malfoy that your class is very interesting, so I chose it. After chatting for a few more words, the two started their respective exercises again. Zhang Su has never given up on physical exercise since elementary school in his life thanks to years of training. His figure is not burly, but it is also very well proportioned. The 8-pack abs has just taken shape, unlike the author who has trained the abs to a state where 99 are 1. As the sun rises, a new day comes. According to the prior plan, representatives from Boxburtons and Durmstrang will attend classes with Hogwarts students. Except for Gabriel, who is Boxburton's mascot, who is in class with the first-grade students. The other student representatives are students over the age of 17, who follow the 7th-grade students. During the class, the students looked at Ron with strange eyes, and Ron seemed to enjoy this kind of treatment. No matter who asked him how to sign up, he just shook his head and smiled without saying a word. For Ron, who broke out halfway through the selection of warriors, many students at Hogwarts believed that he had stolen the glory that belonged to Cedric. Fortunately, Zhang Su misled the direction of this matter from the very beginning, and everyone suddenly discovered that Ron's performance in the past few years was not bad, so there was no large-scale boycott of Ron. Luolirua has always had an automatic small transparent function. Except for wizard chess, students rarely see Ron's outstanding performance in other fields. It's not that Ron doesn't work hard, but that his teammates are too tough. At home, he has 5 elder brothers who are excellent or have unique personalities, and he has a younger sister who is loved by the whole family. Most of what he used in his daily life were second-hand goods used by his brothers, from wands to pets. In Hogwarts, in the Harry trio, Wu has Harry and Wen has Hermione, and Ron is more like a background character, who belongs to the existence of green leaves for Harry and Hermione. This is why Zhang Su chose Hermione instead of Ron to replace Harry as the 4th warrior at the beginning. After Dumbledore put the Goblet of Fire in the hall, Zhang Su kept watching Barty's every move with the Marauder's map. When little Barty stayed near the Goblet of Fire for a while and then left, Zhang Su went over and threw a note with Hermione's name on it into the Goblet of Fire. The golden line drawn by Dumbledore is aimed at the age of the applicant's soul. Methods such as aging agents can only increase the age of the user's body, but have no effect on the soul, and the age of Zhang Su's soul, the sum of 2 lifetimes, can make Scarlet call him O'Neill Sauce. Over the years, facing my teammates who are awesome, and myself looking like an idiot Ron, deep down I have been eager to prove that I am not a greenleaf to foil Harry and Hermione for various reasons. Ron finally seized an excellent opportunity. When everyone carefully analyzed Ron's performance in recent years, everyone found that Ron's greenleaf was actually a huge banana leaf. An NBSP, When the first-year Harry trio singled out a copy of Quirrell, Ron dared to sacrifice himself to open the way for Harry and Hermione. After the second grade until this year's Quidditch World Cup riots, Ron's performance in the previous incidents was actually remarkable. It's just that the limelight of Zhang Su, Harry and Cedric at the same time covered his performance. So everyone slowly accepted Ron's identity as a warrior. Of course, none of these people included Malfoy. When Zhang Su passed a message from Dumbledore to Snape, came out of Snape's office, and passed by the potions classroom, he heard the quarrel between Ron and Malfoy. When Zhang Su approached, Ron and Malfoy took out their wands and started fighting. Ron, nostrils over the train. Malfoy, the front teeth matched the big stick. The spells shot by the two wands at the same time collided in the air, and then deflected like two colliding soccer balls. Ron's spell hit Goyle, who was beside Malfoy, and Goyle's nostrils began to grow bigger and bigger. Malfoy's curse hit Hermione, and Hermione immediately covered her mouth. Gower, to Hermione, degree Greek letter pi degree. What's the noise here? Snape came to the back of the students at this time. You explain it. Snape said, pointing at Malfoy, in the calf protecting mode. Next, Snape casually let Malfoy go, and let Goyle, whose nostrils were big enough to fit a cauldron, into the school infirmary. On the other hand, Harry and Ron defended Hermione, pulled away Hermione's hand that had been trying to cover the front teeth that had grown past a collar, and let Snape look at Malfoy's masterpiece. Zhang Su, who stood watching the fun, was speechless. These two scumbags really don't understand that girls need face. Snape looked at Hermione coldly and said, I don't see any difference. Zhang Su was speechless again. Professor Snape, if you bully girls like this, be careful that you won't find a wife in the future. Zhang Su said from the side. After watching the excitement, Malfoy provoked and attacked his classmates with spells, and Slytherin deducted, points. After Zhang Su finished speaking, he disappeared at the end of the corridor while avoiding the spell shot by Snape's wand. After catching up with Hermione, who was crying and running just now, Zhang Su handed her a scarf to cover her face and front teeth, and then took her to find Madame Pomfrey. When Zhang Su came out of the school infirmary, he met a witch in a magenta robe in the hall. Hello, Mr. Zhang. Rita Skeeter greeted Zhang Su happily. Hello, Ms. Skeeter. Zhang Su greeted the witch. Is there any interview at Hogwarts today? Zhang Su asked. Yes, today I'm going to interview the warriors who participated in the Triwizard Tournament to prepare for the report of the Daily Prophet. Rita Skeeter said. Then may I have the honor to invite you to my office for a cup of tea after the interview, Ms. Skeeter? Zhang Su said to Rita Skeeter. Thank you for your invitation. I will definitely be there after the interview. Rita Skeeter said happily. After the two chatted a few more unnutritious polite words, they went to do their own things. Many people don't have any great sentiments, and all they want in their life is fame and fortune. For a reporter like Rita Skeeter who only cares about her own fame and fortune, Zhang Su has already thrown her into his camp with gold coins. About the power of a reporter like Rita Skeeter, Zhang Su has already experienced it in his previous life. Chapter 157. When Zhang Su bid farewell to Rita Skeeter and returned to the Muggle Studies professor's office, the four warriors who participated in the Triwizard Tournament came to a small empty classroom, ready to test their wands. In addition to the four warriors and several referees including Dumbledore and Ludo Bagman, there were also Ollivander, Rita Skeeter and a photographer in the classroom. Please allow me to introduce Mr. Ollivander. Dumbledore said to several warriors on the referee's bench. He's going to check your wands to make sure they are in good condition before the match. Professor Dumbledore, Mr. Bagman, Fleur said, raising her hand, I have a question about using wands in the tournament. What's the problem, Miss Delacour? Said Dumbledore. Ludo Bagman on the side also nodded. Excuse me, in the competition, is there a limit to the number of magic wands players can use? Fu Rong asked. After listening, several people in the referee seat were stunned. None of them thought about this problem. After all, the concept of each person using a wand has penetrated into the hearts of every wizard. There is no such restriction in the rules of the Triwizard Tournament. Dumbledore replied after thinking for a while. Ludo Bagman nodded again. After getting an affirmative answer, Furing nodded and stopped talking. Next, Ollivander began testing the wand. Miss Delacour, you come first, okay? Ollivander said, ladies first. Ollivander stepped into the clearing in the center of the room. Fleur also stood up from the chair, and when she walked in front of Ollivander, she used her wand to conjure a table on the ground, and then placed a row of wands on the table. At first Dumbledore and the others thought that Fleur had prepared a spare wand, but they didn't expect that the number of wands Fleur took out surprised them. Ollivander was the most surprised. Every time Fleur took out a wand, the corner of his mouth would twitch. Ollivander quickly regained his composure and began to test Fleur's wand. Ollivander picked up the one that Fleur was using just now, and twirled the wand between his slender fingers like a baton. Many pink and gold sparks spewed out from the wand. Then he brought his wand close to his eyes again, holding it carefully. "That's right," said Ollivander softly. 9.5 inches are very strong maple and contain— "Oh my god, contains Avila's hair," Fleur said. "My grandmother's hair." "Yes," said Ollivander. "Yes, of course, I've never used Vila hair myself. I think wands made from Vila hair are too sensitive, but everyone has their own hobbies. Since it suits you." Ollivander then used the wand to conjure a bouquet after checking that the outside of the wand was undamaged. Ollivander nodded and collected the bouquet on the tip of his wand, put it back on the table, and picked up another wand. Ollivander held the second red wand on the table close to his eyes and watched it carefully. "This is," said Ollivander incredulously, "the wand from the east." "Yes, sir," Furin replied. "These wands are all from Huaxia." "This material is—" Ollivander struggled to identify the material of the wand in his hand. "The body of this wand is made of a tree called Dan, the core of which is the white tail hair of a magical animal called," Fleur introduced. Ollivander waved his wand, and a red flame appeared at the tip of the wand, and then he scattered the flame. Fu Rong would not tell him that this magic wand is specialized in fire, and it has a power bonus when it is used to cast fire-related magic. For this Triwizard Tournament, Zhang Su prepared 6 types of wands for Furin to use underwater, including gold, wood, water, fire, earth, and wind. In addition to Furin's original wand, it can deal with almost all kinds of situations. Personally speaking, Zhang Su wanted Fu Rong to win the Triwizard Tournament. With Zhang Su here, at least it can prevent Fu Rong from being teleported to Voldemort with a bang of BIU. Even if you don't win the championship, at least you don't want to be at the bottom. Ollivander examined Fleur's magic wands from the east with great care. Ollivander, as a master wandmaker, can see many things in wands that no one else can see. He soon discovered that these wands did not achieve the best results, and the details could be further optimized according to the user's situation. Ollivander didn't know that unlike his handmade wands, these wands were all produced on a mechanized assembly line, and they were all standardized industrial products. The development of magic wand technology in this world can be said to be different after thousands of years of development. Both Eastern and Western wands have unified into a structure of wooden wand body and animal wand core. Although the structure is the same, Huaxia's concept of making wands is still different from Ollivander's. Huaxia uses the wand as a tool. In different places and for different purposes, different tools are used. Just like the screwdrivers in the current toolbox, screwdrivers are divided into several types according to different functions and head shapes, and you can use whichever one is suitable for you. Because they are mass-produced, the price of these ones is still very cheap, and it is not a problem for one person to buy 5 or 6. Therefore, in Huaxia, wands are produced according to their respective uses and the user's own situation. A place where magic wands are sold is like a shoe counter. Shoes suitable for outdoor sports are placed on the counter in different sizes, and shoes suitable for home leisure are also placed on the counter in different sizes, according to the actual needs and own situation to choose and buy. In this case, let alone Furin, it was the first time when Zhang Su went to the mall to buy a magic wand. Looking at the neatly arranged magic wands in the bright and tidy counter, Zhang Su couldn't tell who he was for a while. Those who came to buy wands still bought chopsticks. And Ollivander's concept of making wands, in Zhang Su's words, is follow the fate. Ollivander usually makes a variety of wands. When customers choose, they are like blind dates. Everyone depends on fate. Moreover, Ollivander's wand also pays attention to multiple functions, requiring the wand to achieve good results in all indicators. Even some customers will never use some of these indicators for a lifetime. These two concepts cannot be said to be better or worse, they are both developed according to their own national conditions, and only the one that adapts to their own national conditions is the best. After checking Fleur's wand, Ollivander checked the wands of Cedric, Krum, and Ron. 2 of their 3 wands were made by Ollivander, while Krum's was made by Grigorovich. The result checks showed that everyone's wands were in excellent condition and all met the requirements for the next competition. Period. Once all the wand inspections were over, there were a few more rounds of photoshoots, and then it was lunchtime. Chapter 158. How about you, follower? The Boxburtons and Durmstrang students had their first Hogsmeade week of the term on the first weekend after they arrived at Hogwarts. Originally, Hogsmeade week this semester would not start until 2 weeks later, but under Zhang's strong suggestion, it became Hogsmeade week from this week until the end of the Triwizard Tournament. Early in the morning on the weekend, students from the 3 schools came to this village of pure wizards, which is also quite famous throughout Europe. Zhang Su first visited the Honeydukes candy store with Fu Rong and Gabrielle. Walking into Honeydukes, Gabriel is like entering heaven, want to try this, want to try that. In the end, Zhang Su only allowed Gabriel to buy 3 kinds of candies at a time, which made her jump up in anger. It wasn't that Zhang Su was reluctant to spend money, but that he was afraid that Gabriel would become a little fat girl if she ate so much this school year. After finally choosing 3 types of candy, Zhang Su gave Gabriel the money to pay for it herself. "You dote on Gabriel too much?" Furink said while choosing her favorite candy. "Girls should be pampered more," Zhang Su said. "Then do you want a boy or a girl in the future?" Fu Rong asked with a smile. Zhang Su was taken aback by Fu Rong's question, and then looked at Fu Rong speechlessly. Zhang Su is only 14 years old this year, and Fu Rong is only 17 years old. It seems too early to discuss this issue. Harry, who was picking candies behind Zhang Su and was going to visit Black and Lupin, his face was as red as Ginny's hair beside him. "Boys and girls are equally good, and men and women are equal to a well-off life," Zhang Su replied, feeding a licorice wand into Fu Rong's mouth. Zhang Su is a super VIP customer of Honeydukes candy store, who has the right to try unlimited food in the store. "Why don't we find some time to practice how to have a child?" Then Zhang Su said to Fu Rong in her ear. Then Fu Rong blushed and kicked Zhang Su's calf. At this time, Harry and Ginny behind Zhang Su and the others had already blushed and ran to the cashier. Ron, who had just paid the bill, came over and took out a bean from the bag of BB's multi-flavored bean in his hand and put it in his mouth. Crack, dog food flavor. Ron handed the bag to Hermione who was next to her, and Hermione picked one out too. "Katja also tastes like dog food." "Hey, how are you two?" Zhang Su greeted Ron and Hermione when he spotted them. "I don't think I'm very well right now," Ron said angrily. "Why, if you encounter something unhappy, tell us to make everyone happy," Zhang Su said. Ron looked at Zhang Su with a speechless expression, and then said, "Rita Skeeter, that woman made up the news again." "Oh, the news on the Daily Prophet this morning." Zhang Su pretended to be enlightened and said, "Rita Skeeter has a good opinion of you, full of courage and loyalty to her friends, willing to help her friends and sacrificing yourself. Besides, there are many other advantages that I don't usually see. Your mother was also mentioned in the news, saying that only the greatest mother can cultivate you 7 outstanding brothers and sisters. Rita Skeeter is actually a very principled reporter. As long as she is paid, she will definitely get things done." After the wand was tested that day, Zhang Su received Rita Skeeter in the office an hour later. The two struck a pure money deal. Since receiving Scarlet's warning, Zhang Su has started a series of preparations. He is not someone who just sits and waits to die. Sun Tzu's Art of War says, therefore, wise rulers and virtuous generals are able to move and win over others. Success comes from the crowd, and they are prophets. A prophet cannot be obtained from ghosts and gods, cannot be imaged from things, cannot be verified by degrees, must be obtained from people, and know the enemy. Lovers also. And the principled Rita Skeeter is an excellent person who knows the enemy's feelings, and it is best to use her to collect intelligence about the opponent. Moreover, the black material in these intelligences can also provide Rita Skeeter with material for making big news. Such a win-win thing. Rita Skeeter naturally nodded in agreement. Today's article on the Daily Prophet reporting on the Warriors of the Triwizard Tournament belongs to Rita Skeeter's gift service. At that time, Zhang Su only mentioned a few words to Rita Skeeter, and she nodded in agreement very politely. Rita Skeeter didn't discredit anyone in the news report this time, percent of the report was touting Ron, and the remaining, percent was to touting Cedric. By the way, Fleur and Crumb only mentioned a short paragraph each at the end. As the host newspaper, there is nothing wrong with touting its contestants, it's just that Rita Skeeter is habitually embellishing her reports. Perhaps Rita Skeeter found out that Cedric, who was also at Hogwarts, had a girlfriend, but Ron didn't, so she matched Ron Lallen. You know that's not what I'm talking about. Luoan said angrily, that woman actually said that Hermione is my girlfriend. Zhang Su glanced at Ron who was getting angry, then at Hermione who was standing beside Ron frowning, and then said to Ron flatly, "Why don't you just follow Hermione?" For a moment, the air fell into silence. "I have 2 coupons for Madame Potiphar's tea house here," Zhang Su said while the iron was hot. "You two go there and discuss it together." After finishing speaking, Zhang Su took out 2 coupons for Mrs. Potiphar's tea house and put them in Suren's hand. Then Zhang Su pulled Fu Rong past Ron and the others who were in a dazed state, and went straight to the cash register to pay. Zhang Su and Fu Rong took Gabrielle out of the door of Honeydukes and walked on the streets of Hogsmeade. Looking at Ron and Hermione walking in front, Fu Rong smiled and said to Zhang Su, "Is it okay for them to do this?" "I think it's pretty good," Zhang Su replied with a smile. "I've done divination for the 2 of them, and they will be happy." As soon as Zhang Su finished speaking, a group of people suddenly rushed out of the 3 broomsticks bar in front of them, and they watched Ron and Hermione walking into Madame Potiphar's tea house in a daze. Looking at the row of red-haired heads in front of him, Zhang Su felt that there was a good show to be seen today. Ron had been feeling a bit dazed this morning. Why did it become like this? For the first time, it became the person who attracted much attention with newspapers touting their own news. 2 happy things coincide, and these 2 joys brought me even more joy. What I got was supposed to be a happy time like a dream, but why did it turn out like this? It's not like Ron didn't think about finding a girlfriend. There are more and more students around in pairs, not to mention Harry, who hooked up with his sister early in the morning, but Neville, who was originally stupid, recently had a relationship with Han when he was receiving extracurricular tutoring in herbal medicine in the greenhouse. Now hooked up there is also his twin brother, who unknowingly hooked up with a girl on the Quidditch team. As for which girl he wanted to be his girlfriend, Ron had never thought about it before. Before Zhang Su asked him to make a pair with Hermione, Ron just took Zhang Su's words as a joke. Today Zhang Su once again proposed to let himself be Hermione, and Ron began to consider the feasibility in his heart. While Ron was thinking wildly, he and Hermione walked into Mrs. Potiphar's tea house. Ron had heard of Mrs. Potiphar's tea house in Hogsmeade, but had never been there once. He didn't know what this tea house was for. Hermione might know, but she didn't say anything, and followed Ron into the tea house with her head down. When he walked into the tea house with Hermione, Ron noticed that the atmosphere of this tea house was a bit different. The place in the tea house is small and foggy, as if everything is adorned with ruffles or bows. Especially when Ron found that the guests in the tea house were all in pairs, all holding hands. Ron and Hermione sat down at the only remaining table by the window, and after ordering 2 cups of coffee from the chubby Mrs. Potiphar, the 2 fell into silence. Hermione fiddled with the cuffs of her robe with her head down, and Ron looked down at the coffee in front of him. For a while, neither of them knew what to say. After a while, Ron and Hermione looked up at the same time. Both of them wanted to say something, but stopped at the same time. Only then did Ron observe Hermione from another angle. He found that after Hermione cured her front teeth, her entire face suddenly became delicate and attractive, and she no longer looked like a dark nutria like before. Ron was stunned for a moment. Facing Ron's different eyes from before, Hermione's face became hot and she lowered her head. Ron also noticed his strangeness, took a sip of coffee to hide his embarrassment. Ron, who was drinking coffee, turned his head to the window next to him, and when he was about to organize his words, he suddenly spewed out a mouthful of coffee. Ron noticed a line of people standing outside a window next to them at some point, looking at him and Hermione. On the far left is the smiling Weasley couple, followed by Bill, Charlie, Percy, Fred, George, Ginny and Harry with all kinds of weird smiles, a neat family land. Besides that there are Lupin, Black, Zhang Su, Fleur and Gabriel. Facing such a strong lineup of onlookers, Ron almost dropped his coffee cup in fright. After seeing Ron's strange reaction, Hermione also looked out of the window. After seeing clearly the crowd outside the window, she covered her face and put her head on the table. Then Zhang Su used his magic wand to cast the illusion curse on the crowd, and all of them disappeared into the air. Then 2 lines of words made by magic appeared on the glass window: "Leave us alone and carry on." Come on. Chapter 159. On the second day after the selection of the warrior, the Weasley family got the news that Ron became a warrior to represent Hogwarts in the Triwizard Tournament. Shocked, joyful, and worried, everyone in the Weasley family had different moods. They decided to surprise Ron next Hogwarts week and give him a pep talk. So Zhang Su didn't know if Ron was surprised, but Zhang Su only knew that Ron was definitely frightened. After Zhang Su cast the illusion spell on the crowd, he left with Fu Rong and Gabrielle. On the hillside not far from the edge of Hogsmeade Village, there is a two-story country house. The owner of this villa is a distant relative of Neville Longbottom, and they have already moved to other places to settle down, so under Neville's help, Zhang Su rented this villa as his foothold in England. Zhang Su invited several guests to visit today, so he and Sister Furin didn't stay in the village too long and came to the villa. As soon as they entered the door, Zhang Su and the others could feel the warmth in the room. The firewood in the fireplace was burning vigorously, providing enough heat for the floor heating system installed by Zhang Su throughout the villa. "Welcome back, Mr. Zhang," the two Miss Delikers. A house elf appeared in the hall. "Hello, Dobby." Zhang Su greeted the house elf while hanging his cloak on the coat hook beside the hall. "The guests will be arriving soon. How is the lunch preparation?" "Everything is ready, Mr. Zhang," Dobby replied. Back then, Dobby cheated Harry Potter once in the Quidditch match, and then was knocked unconscious by Zhang Su with a raw kick in the school infirmary, and was finally taken away by Dumbledore. After Dumbledore fed Dobby Veritaserum, Dobby confessed to Dumbledore everything he knew. Dumbledore, who had the evidence in hand, went directly to trouble Lucius Malfoy. As a result, Lucius Malfoy lost his post as a sensible Hogwarts school, and at the same time was forced to let Dobby get his freedom. With Dumbledore's endorsement, Harry figured out that Dobby was not here to assassinate him, plus Dobby showed him his intentions, and he later accepted Dobby. Then, after a while in society, Dobby approached Dumbledore to apply for a job, and finally got a job in the Hogwarts kitchen. Zhang Su has no interest in raising a house elf, and he has no right to let the Hogwarts house elf take care of the villa for him. But Dobby, a house elf who was paid to do things, was different. Zhang Su hired him to take care of the villa when he was free. Dobby, who received a part-time job, was also very happy, and the matter of being knocked out by Zhang Su before was forgotten. When the time came to 11 o'clock, the door of the villa was knocked one after another, and the guests came one after another. Furin entered the hostess mode and received every guest. There are 4 guests today: Cedric, Zhang Chu, Krum and Tanya. The 3 contestants of the Triwizard Tournament gathered in the villa at once. Originally, Zhang Su planned to invite Harry's trio, but after making such a move this morning, they didn't have time to come. After everyone had a round of Quidditch in the living room, it was time for lunch. Hogsmeade, which is located at a high altitude, is already very cold in November. In such weather, the most suitable way to treat guests to dinner is of course hot pot. According to Zhang Su's instructions, Dobby prepared a soup base made of lamb bones and fish heads early in the morning, as well as plates of thinly sliced lamb rolls. This way of eating made Krum feel very novel. He gave up the fork and colander that Zhang Su had prepared for him, and learned how to use 2 oriental magic wands to eat. At the beginning, Krum wondered why there were so many wands on the table, and picked up one to try, but the magic didn't work. This is very useful for improving the dexterity of the fingers, which can improve the flexibility when swinging the wand, Krum said while practicing using chopsticks. At the dinner table, everyone's topic shifted to Hogwarts courses. Volksbütten's and Durmstrang's student representatives have been attending classes with Hogwarts students for some time, and everyone has discovered that the Hogwarts curriculum is different from their own school. The professor of defense against the dark arts at Hogwarts is really good, Krum said as he unskillfully put a piece of mutton into the pot with chopsticks. Rummenigge and Schuster I wanted to test his strength, but in the blink of an eye, the 2 of them were hoisted to the ceiling. Professor Moody is the best orator in the British Ministry of Magic, Cedric said. Half the cells in Azkaban prison are filled by him. It can be seen that he is a very powerful person. Krum nodded and said, Hogwarts potions class is really difficult. I think it is the highest among the 3 schools, said Tanya. After listening to Tanya's words, Fleur and Krum nodded accordingly. In the past 2 years, Snape has become more and more strict with the students. Especially after he started the work of measuring the active ingredient content of the potion raw materials. Now every time before the students prepare the potion in class, they must first measure the active ingredient content of the materials used, and then calculate the actual dosage. In the past, this aspect could only be accomplished with the experience of wizards. Coupled with the standardization and diagramming of the potion configuration steps completed by the students of the Pharmacist Association under Zhang Su's proposal, the mistakes caused by the students' mistakes due to the wrong steps were minimized. In the case of both hardware and software upgrades, the success rate of potion configuration of students in the classroom has been greatly improved. Snape therefore put forward higher demands on the students. However, The potion class safety management system and potion class self-inspection management rules that must be memorized before class are good things, said Dongia. They can reduce the stress in the potion refining process and alchemy experiments. Dangerous? I want to take them back to Buttons. That's no problem, Zhang Su replied. I can give you 2 of their brochures later. These 2 rules and regulations were drawn up by Zhang Su and his classmates together, so he can decide whether to teach them to Button. I'd like a copy too, Crumb said. Potions classes at our school are more dangerous, you know. No problem. Zhang Su replied. It's the first time I've seen many of the utensils in the potions class at Hogwarts, Crumb said again, although it was a headache to learn how to use them at first. After using them proficiently, they can be configured. Potions are more convenient. Fu Rong also said while simmering the mutton, those equipments were introduced from Muggle society. In terms of pharmaceuticals, Muggles have a lot to learn from us. In addition to the most basic measuring cylinders and cups, there are also burettes, pipettes, tubes, separatory funnels, condensers, water baths, microscopes, centrifuges, etc., have made the refining of many potions easier and greatly improved the efficiency. I have been to the pharmaceutical factory of Sue's family, and the equipment in the laboratory there is even more magical and advanced. Furink said while sandwiching the boiled mutton slices for Gabriel. Spectrophotometer, analytical balance, disintegration instrument, drug dissolution tester, insoluble particle tester, clarity tester, ultraviolet analyzer, polarimeter and other equipment invented by Muggles, it can be said that potions have entered a new era. Next, Fu Rong explained the basic functions of these instruments to everyone, and they were dumbfounded. When Fleur introduced these instruments, her expression was the same as Crumb's when he was talking about the Quidditch game just now, with his eyes shining. At the beginning of the summer vacation this year, Zhang Su had to be busy with a high school entrance examination and other things, so Fu Rong worked for a month in the laboratory of Zhang Su's pharmaceutical factory during the summer vacation, during which time he used a lot of advanced equipment. 1,435,671,731 H43D4. Now the tea-pill produced by Umbrella Pharmaceutical Company, Limited, opened by Zhang Jia, is well known at home and abroad, bringing huge profits to the Zhang family. This gave Zhang Su the confidence to follow other people's path in the future and make others have nowhere to go. At the same time, in the Umbrella Pharmaceutical Laboratory, which has invested a lot of money, all of them are world-leading experimental equipment. Even the equipment that is prohibited from being exported to China by foreign countries has been shipped back through non-Muggle means. Period. Not to mention Fleur, even Snape didn't want to come out of this laboratory after entering it, and it was Professor McGonagall who tied him out in the end. Fu Rong, who was good at potions, decided to work on potions after this summer vacation. Zhang Su supports this. After all, this is the path she chose. Besides, Fleur, a potions researcher, was better than Fleur, a bank clerk. No. Has the Muggle world become so powerful now? Crumb said. Zhang, what you teach in class is different from what Durmstrang teaches, and I don't even know who to listen to. It's gone. The content in my class is based on facts, not nonsense like some people say. Zhang Su said, wizards and Muggles have been separated for too long, and they can no longer keep up with Muggles. The pace of melon development. Muggles have developed extremely fast in the past 100 years. 25 years ago, Muggles were able to send ordinary people to the moon. At the same time, wizards have been standing still. All the wizards present nodded their heads. Thanks to Zhang Su's efforts last year, everyone realized what the real Muggle world looks like on the big screen. Finally, Crumb asked again, why does Professor Sprout in the herbal class introduce some herbs and severely warn Hogwarts students that these herbs cannot be eaten as food? Chapter 160 Pre-Match Analysis. When the meat slices were finished, and when the mandrake slices, white fresh leaves and biting kale leaves were added to the pot for soup, Crumb knew who Professor Sprout's warning was aimed at. The meal was so enjoyable that all the mutton slices prepared by Dobby were eaten up. After everyone ate and drank and chatted in the living room for a while, the guests took their leave and left. Gabrielle ran to her room, while Zhang Su and Fu Rong were in the study discussing the first competition in the near future. This study room is the most defensive place in the entire villa, bar none. Because most of the books here are copies of the books in Slytherin's real Chamber of Secrets. After half a year of hard work by Zhang Su, 2 copies of all the books in the secret room were copied. Zhang Su kept 1 copy for himself, and the other copy was given to the Scarlet family. Sitting on the sofa, Zhang Su and Fu Rong put forward various guesses about the first item of the competition. The main event of the competition is the referee scoring, which will be scored by the referee team after the contestants complete the competition. Zhang Su said. Fleur nodded at the side, which Mrs. Maxim had already revealed to her. If you want to get a high score, the first is to finish the game as quickly as possible, the second is to avoid mistakes that will cause yourself to be injured as much as possible, and the third is to make the game more exciting while ensuring that the first two are achieved. Zhang Su continued. Then you need to give priority to the first and second points in the game. Furing said, completing the game is the most basic requirement. On the premise of completing the game, you need to protect yourself to avoid being unable to complete the next game due to injury. Zhang Su thought for a while and said, I think the second priority is to protect yourself. Only by protecting yourself can you complete the game better. As long as your mind does not slip, there are always more solutions than difficulties. After ensuring yourself only on the premise of safety can we come up with a solution to the problem. After Zhang Su finished speaking, he used the flying curse to summon a few books on the bookshelf. Zhang Su opened the book, picked up the bookmark on the table and recorded a few key points, put it in the book, and put the book in front of Fu Rong. There are several defensive spells here, ranging from fire prevention to mental attack. You can learn them these few days. Zhang Su said, you know, you can't take these books back into the carriage. Mark and Mrs. Sim has communicated, and she agreed that you can stay with me at night to learn these spells. But Gabriel still has to go back to the carriage. Fu Rong, who heard what Zhang Su meant, stretched out her hand and twisted the flesh on his weak side. Next, Zhang Su continued to analyze the content of the game with Fu Rong. The first project is to test your guts, Zhang Su said. What do you think is the most frightening thing when you can only use magic wands? It's magic, or magical animals. And this project is what can be done with the spectators watching. It's impossible for you to do it where the spectators can't see it. Following Zhang Su's train of thought, Fu Rong thought for a while and said, if you remove the things related to black magic that are not suitable for the competition, it can not only scare people, but also effectively control the things that won't cause death to the warriors and the audience. The most likely one is the fire dragon. After finishing speaking, Furin was startled by her guess. Next, the more Fu Rong thought about it, the more she felt that her guess was right. On the one hand, the Triwizard Tournament would not use cats and dogs as competition items. Zhang Su held Furin's trembling hand, patted it lightly, and said, don't worry, even if the competition event is related to fire dragons, and it will not let you slay dragons, you must know that a fire dragon is not cheap. If you really kill a few of them, we professors' year-end awards will be over, so the content of the game will at most let you complete some kind of mission under the threat of a fire dragon. Then I'll use the fire dragon as an imaginary target to prepare for the first project. Fu Rong said, if it's not a fire dragon then it will be easier to deal with. Okay. Zhang Su said after thinking about it. Next, let's analyze the characteristics of the fire dragon. Then Zhang Su summoned a notebook specially for him to record all kinds of fire dragons with a flying curse. Australianopoly, considered one of the most beautiful dragons, the pearly scales display an iridescent hue and the pupilless glasses sparkle and multicolor. Dragon lion, the smooth scales are scarlet, with a snub nose on the face, a circle of golden tassel-like spikes around the nose, and bulging eyes. Common Welsh green dragon, a green-bodied Charmander native to England. The least troublesome of all dragons, this dragon's fire bursts from between its thin upper and lower jaws. Black dragon of the Hessian Islands, another native fire dragon of England. It has black rough scales, piercing purple eyes, and a row of not deep but razor-sharp ridges on its back. Arrowheads and wings like bats. The black dragon of Heshidia can reach 30 feet in length. Hungarian Horntail, considered the most dangerous of the dragons. Covered with black scales, it looks like a lizard. It has yellow eyes, bronze horns, and a long tail with spikes of the same color. Norwegian Ridgeback, similar to the Hungarian Horntail, but without the spikes on the tail. There's a jet black ridge on the back. Peruvian Venomidant, only about 15 feet long, with smooth scales, a brass-colored body, and a black ridge on the back. The head has short horns, and its fangs are highly poisonous. Romanian Longhorn, dark green scales with 2 golden horns. Swedish Brachiosaurus, the scales are silvery blue, and the nostrils emit a dazzling blue flame that can reduce wood and bone to ashes in an instant. Iron Belly of Ukraine, one of the largest dragons in the world, with shiny gray scales, deep red eyes, and long, vicious claws. A common trait among dragons is that their thick hides are impregnated with ancient magic, which only the most powerful spells can penetrate. Zhang Su read the characteristics of the most common fire dragons recorded in the notebook, and some common characteristics of fire dragons. To sum up, Zhang Su put down his notebook and said to Fu Rong, "The fire dragon's attack power and defense power are very powerful. Whether it's the flames they spew, or their claws and teeth, you can't fight it hard. The best choice is to dodge. It is difficult for ordinary magic attacks to have an effect on their bodies. Then I will try to hypnotize the fire dragon first." Fu Rong said, "If it works, everything will be easy to handle. Then you have to put defensive magic on yourself first." Zhang Su said, "Because I don't know the actual effect of your hypnotic magic on the fire dragon, so be careful." Fu Rong thought for a while and nodded. Then Furin said, "I think it can also attract the attention of the fire dragon, for example, using the transformation technique to conjure other animals to run in another direction." Zhang Su also nodded in agreement. In this way, Zhang Su and Fu Rong analyzed all the weaknesses of Hulong bit by bit. Chapter 161. In the evening, the whole of Hogsmeade was shrouded in the setting sun. The students who had played around in Hogsmeade all day walked towards Hogwarts Castle against the setting sun. Zhang Su was walking on the small road, and in front of him were the Fu Rong sisters who were playing and fighting. The setting sun dyed the silver hair of the two sisters orange-red. At this moment, Zhang Su felt extremely relaxed in his heart. All the thoughts in his mind in the past disappeared at this moment, and now he only had two beautiful figures fighting in the sunset in front of him in his mind. When was the last time he watched the sunset so carefree? Zhang Su thought. It seems to be the Wishan Lakeside half a century ago. Back then, I copied and played my beloved Earthen Pippa. At that time, Captain Liu praised himself for his good singing, and rewarded himself with 2 wild duck eggs he had just picked up in the grass by the lake. Later, he took the 2 duck eggs to the cooking class and made egg drop soup for the wounded and sick. Food has been improved. At that time, the aunt who was helping in the cooking class said that she was fair-looking, a scholar, and she sang well, so she planned to introduce her third sister's daughter to herself. I remember that I escaped from the cooking class amidst everyone's booing. That night, I sneaked into the Japanese army's arsenal in the county town, pulled the string, and then ran away with a time-turner. During the summer vacation this year, I saw Captain Liu again. After revealing my identity and explaining the reason, I was scolded by Captain Liu for more than half an hour. At that time, everyone thought that they and the Japanese army's arsenal had died together. Everyone was sad for several days, and Political Commissar Li was so sad that he didn't eat for 2 days. Now whenever he recalls those years, Zhang Su himself is filled with emotion. In the past 2 years, Zhang Su and his predecessors have been active on battlefields large and small. He has also achieved the record of killing more than 100 enemies and blowing up more than, ammunition depots. Only those who were poisoned and killed by him were 2 division heads and a large number of middle and senior officers of the 2 division headquarters. At that time, Zhang Su had the idea of waiting for the victory of the anti-Japanese war before going back. After his history was liquidated this summer, the state gave Zhang Su several military medals and various subsidies for veterans. After careful calculation, Zhang Su's age in his household registration book is still 3 months away from 15 years old, but his physical age is almost the same as Furin's. Fortunately, when he first came back, he was careful and drank some shrinking potions, and then gradually reduced the dosage, otherwise he would not be able to explain why he grew so much taller all of a sudden. It's just that after returning home, the family sighed that it was no loss that they ate steak every day in the UK, and they grew so tall all of a sudden. "What are you thinking, laughing so strangely?" Scarlet's voice sounded beside Zhang Su. "It's nothing." Zhang Su shook his head and said, "I feel that the current life of Xinfu is not easy." "That's right, without that savior, I don't know what life would be like now," Scarlet said, looking at Harry Potter walking with Ron in the distance. "I'm not talking about Voldemort, he's just a leader of an anti-government terrorist organization." Zhang Su shook his head and said, "Try Guangwu, watch the battles between Chu and Han, Sai and Sei, there are no heroes in the time, and Zhu Zi became famous." Scarlet didn't know what to say for a while. An NBSP, for the same purpose of seizing power, at the end of the Han Dynasty, Zhang Jiao led 36th Fang Shui, leading hundreds of thousands of yellow scarves, and swept across the 8 states. Compared with him, Voldemort is far behind. Zhang Su pouted. Seeing that Scarlet didn't answer, Zhang Su continued, although the mansions on the Sheko Peninsula are nice to live in, Hong Kong Island is still too small, and the people in that place just think that way, thinking that the more than 1,000 square meters kilometers is the whole world. It is not as good as the Empire where the sun never sets. Living in a place where the weather forecast takes 5 minutes to speak, and where the weather forecast is a sentence, people's vision will become different. Many times, big problems in small places are not as good as small problems in big places. If you look at it from a higher altitude, you will find that the problems that were difficult to solve before are not big problems, so you think Voldemort's problem is easy to solve. Scarlet said. What's the problem? Zhang Su said, no matter how powerful he is, there is only one person. As long as he unites the supporters, wins over the centrists, and isolates the opponents, even if he recovers, he will be alone. When the time comes, gather a group of people and don't fear death. Let alone Voldemort, even Dumbledore must be finished. Sigh, Scarlet said with a sigh, it's a pity that this is difficult to achieve in England. No one can defeat Voldemort head-on once, and there is no way to win over the middle. Now that Dumbledore is old, he can only rely on tricks the means to deal with Voldemort. If I go and beat Voldemort, do you think the situation will get better? Zhang Su touched his chin and said. I won't allow you to go. Scarlet said with a cold face. I'm joking, Zhang Su said with a smile, it's not my turn to deal with him here. A group of old guys in the country have long wanted to find Voldemort, who is known as the #1 modern Western black wizard. The guy has tried a few tricks. As the saying goes, when Wu is the first, and Wu is the second. A group of old guys from the war years in China are no longer satisfied with the life of retired veteran cotters practicing calligraphy, fishing and planting flowers on weekdays. Now they are thinking about finding something to do. If Zhang Su hadn't strongly opposed it, they would have formed a group to kill Dumbledore. I don't think so much anymore, let's take one step at a time. Now what I do is worthy of Dumbledore. Zhang Su said. At this time, everyone had already reached Hogwarts Castle, and it was getting dark. Scarlet said goodbye to Zhang Su and went upstairs. At this time, Fu Rong came over, put her chin on Zhang Su's shoulder, and said, what did you just say? It's nothing, I just said something about the British magic world. Zhang Su said. About a mysterious man in England? Asked Fleur. Yes. Zhang Su nodded. Is it dangerous? Fu Rong asked again. It's not a troublesome thing. It's easier for me than the Triwizard Tournament. Zhang Su replied, Professor Dumbledore can solve him within 2 or 3 years. And? Fu Rong nodded vigorously, pressing Zhang Su's shoulders a little painfully. I suddenly discovered something, Fu Rong suddenly said with a sly smile, you smell like her perfume. Zhang Su silently took out a bottle of lotion from his treasure bag, and put it under Fu Rong's nose. Big bargain in summer, 3 bottles for 10 yuan, sold in major supermarkets in Huaxia. Chapter 162 7 Dragons Descend to Xianshan? Time is like water in a sponge, as long as you want to squeeze it, there will always be some loose soon. This sentence is now applicable to the 4 warriors participating in the Triwizard Tournament. The students of Hogwarts have assembled once again to brainstorm ideas for their 2 champions. Hypotheses about the events of the first game were put forward one after another, some were rejected, and some were approved by everyone. Then everyone formulated a series of solutions based on the actual situation of the 2 warriors for those assumptions that might appear in the game. Then, according to these plans, targeted special training will be given to the 2 warriors. Now Ryan and Cedric are being tossed miserably by their classmates every night, and they can't leave the room of response until 12 o'clock. As the saying goes, 3 cobblers kill one's huge liang. Students at Hogwarts would naturally think that the first item would probably have something to do with dragons. And a piece of news they got seems to confirm this guess. The son of a shareholder of a dragon training farm said that the dragon farm is preparing for long-distance transportation of several dragons. One night, Hermione came to Zhang Su's office and asked Zhang Su to borrow his notebook for recording fire dragons. At that time, Zhang Su was busy correcting his homework, so he just pointed to the notebook with a dragon leg on the cover that was placed on the corner of the desktop. Hermione returned within half an hour after taking the notebook. Because she took the wrong notebook, the notebook contained the records of roasted dragon tail in red wine, sweet and sour dragon tenderloin, fat dragon golden needle roll, steamed dragon meat with powder, stewed dragon ribs with kelp head, spicy dragon neck meat, cold dragon wing, pickled pepper dragon claw, and so on. Soon, Hermione left with a notebook with a dragon's head on the cover. Next, Ron and Cedric will be busy. They spend every night trying to figure out how to fight the dragon, and practice avoiding the flame curse of the classmate who simulates the fire dragon breathing fire. The efforts of the Hogwarts warriors could not be hidden from Boxburtons and Durmstrang, but the students of Hogwarts did a good job of keeping secrets, and the students of the other two schools did not know what they were doing. What are you busy with? In this regard, Zhang Su is principled. What he knows is one thing, but what the Hogwarts students prepare collectively is another. The former can say whatever he wants, even if he said it in the Daily Prophet. No one said anything, but if he told the latter to people from other schools, even if it was fu wrong, then he would be a traitor. Fleur and Krum felt the pressure brought by the Hogwarts warriors. It was one thing for everyone to eat, drink and play together, but when it came to the tournament, they were still rivals. There is no such thing as friendship first and competition second between them, you know. The headmasters of Boxburton and Durmstrang are targeting Loudang this time. With the help of Zhang Su, Furin can make targeted preparations in a leisurely and unhurried manner. Krum was a little bit blind because he had no direction to prepare for. Zhang Su himself also started to prepare, and a hidden card in his hand was also played. Not long after Zhang Su came to Hogwarts, he beat Peeves to a new level and became a ghost again. After more than 2 years, Peeves reverted to his old ways. He first secretly prepared all kinds of prank traps for the students, and made a mess of the classroom when there was no one in the classroom, and then he started to sneak attack lower grade students. Then Peeves was arrested by Zhang Su and taught to be a ghost. But this time Zhang Su didn't stop him from playing pranks on the students, he just restricted him to play pranks on the students once a day, in the morning, at noon and at night, and sometimes he had to help Zhang Su do some things. For example, Peeves has to go around the Forbidden Forest every night, and report to Zhang Su if he finds anything unusual. The time came to the Saturday before the first game. When Zhang Su came back from Hogsmeade, he met Peeves, who came to report. After 11 o'clock in the evening, Zhang Su sat in the living room of his professor's dormitory, looking at the Marauder's map for a while, and Furin, who was practicing the spell. On the Marauder's map, Zhang Su could see little Barty circling in the office of the defense against the dark arts class. Since Ron's election as a warrior destroyed his plan, this has become his daily compulsory class. Suddenly, Zhang Su noticed that Ron had left the common room of the Lion Court alone and was walking outside the castle. Zhang Su put away the Marauder's map and told Fu Rong to stop practicing. "Let's go, I'll take you to see something good," Zhang Su said. Zhang Su pulled Fu Rong out of the castle, then cast the illusion curse on the two of them, and then stepped on a flying sword and flew to the sky above the Forbidden Forest. When they came to the sky above the Forbidden Forest, the roar of the fire dragon and the flames emanating from the Forbidden Forest pointed out their target. Zhang Su controlled the flying sword, took Fu Rong, and flew quietly to the place where the fire dragon was held. After arriving at the destination, Zhang Su almost fell off the flying sword. Gather enough 7 dragon balls to summon Shenlong. Now that there are enough 7 fire dragons here, what does the Ministry of Magic plan to summon? Lion dragon, Welsh green dragon, Heshitia black dragon, Hungarian horntail, Peruvian venomosaurus, Swedish short-nosed dragon, Ukrainian iron belly. 7 different types of fire dragons are controlled by dragon trainers in special cages. These are not easy dragons to live with. Although the dragon trainers cast various spells on the fire dragon constantly, they just experienced a long journey, but they refused to be a quiet fire dragon, crawling obediently in the cage, waiting for the years to be quiet. The fire dragon kept crashing into the cage, roaring non-stop, while spitting out hot flames from its mouth. Zhang Su felt that Furin, who was hugging her from behind, trembled a little. She was frightened by the fire dragons in front of her. Zhang Su patted the hand wrapped around his waist, signaling her to relax a bit. Zhang Su carefully observed the fire dragon below, and soon he made a new discovery. These fire dragons are all fire dragons that have just grown up for less than 2 years, and their power is not as great as the fire dragons that have grown up for a long time. Warriors can't kill dragons, but it's okay to hold on until they are rescued. Then Zhang Su saw the dragon trainers take out dragon eggs from boxes one by one, and put them next to the fire dragons. Obviously, these fire dragons had just laid eggs not long ago. Soon, Zhang Su saw the newly dressed Hagrid strolling over with Mrs. Maxim. Zhang Su lowered the flying sword to the height of the treetops, quietly and carefully observed the characteristics of each fire dragon with Fu Rong, and recorded the length of the flames they sprayed out and other data. Half an hour later, Zhang Su sent Fu Rong back to Boxburton's carriage tonight. Furin needs to have a good discussion with Mrs. Maxim about the game in a few days. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163. The author wrote this chapter while eating grilled fish. Zhang Su, who returned to the dormitory alone, made himself a cup of hot cocoa, and sat on the balcony thinking about what he saw tonight. There are 7 fire dragons, neither an integer multiple of 4, nor can it be made into stewed soup with dragon head, spicy dragon neck, cold dragon wing, fried dragon steak, sliced thighs for hot pot, and dragon whip. Zhang Su didn't know how to divide it for a while. The fire dragons prepared this time are only different in number, type and plot. The biggest possibility is that single-handedly turned into gang fights. The next morning, Zhang Su came to the cafeteria early in the morning. Not long after, Ron and Cedric, with dark circles under their eyes, entered the cafeteria. It seemed that the two of them didn't sleep well last night. Then came Crumb, who also had dark circles under his eyes. Finally, it was Gabriel who came to find her sister. Fu Rong came to Zhang Su's bedroom at 3 o'clock in the morning, and she was obviously terrified when she saw the 7 fire dragons tonight. At first, she thought she was going to single out the 7 fire dragons, but she almost fell off the flying sword. After Zhang Su lit a few Ningxian grass in the incense burner, it took a lot of effort to comfort Fu Rong, and now Fu Rong is still sleeping in Zhang Su's bed. When Zhang Su and Gabriel finished breakfast, he found that the owl of Ron's family had sent a letter to Ron. It seemed that Ron had asked his second brother for help overnight after the Quidditch World Cup this year. Charlie's vacation will end at the Spring Festival next year, and he is still living in the burrow. After walking out of the cafeteria, Zhang Su took Gabriel to the lake to watch the giant squid. Gabriel, who has Velar blood, is now very popular with animals. Whether it is Mrs. Norris or the unicorn in the Forbidden Forest, they are very happy to play with Gabriel. And Gabriel also likes to play with all kinds of animals. Recently, Zhang Su is too busy to feed Mrs. Norris. Now Gabriel has taken over this work. One day when the animagus detector in Zhang Su's hand was beeping, he also saw Gabriel holding a tabby cat with a look of lovelessness coming to him for dried fish. Now even the giant squid in the lake, which is said to be Godric Gryffindor's animagus form, comes out to play with Gabriel every time she comes to the lake. Of course, the content of the play is very healthy, that is, Gabriel walks on the water on the squid's tentacles, and the squid lifts Gabriel high. There is no such thing as lolly tentacle Y that some people love to see. Just when Gabriel asked the squid to help her catch fish and was about to eat grilled fish for lunch, Zhang Su saw Ron and Hermione walking towards them along the lake. "Hey, you two are dating." Zhang Su greeted Ron and Hermione. "How about Harry? Why didn't you see him?" "Harry is looking up information in the library," Hermione said. "Ron is too nervous. I will accompany him out for a walk." "It seems that you are making good progress." Zhang Su looked at the two of them with a bewildered smile. "I thought you were in the library," and Harry came out to accompany Ron. Ron's face turned red all of a sudden. Zhang Su couldn't tell if Hermione's face was not red. "Zhang, do you know how to defeat the fire dragon?" Ron used the flying curse to bring firewood from a distance, and Zhang Su asked. Although Ron has recently received training against fire dragons, it was all simulated by the students. He still has a deep memory of the scars left by Charlie's injuries when he was a dragon trainer. When he saw Shijo last night, he was still instinctively scared. Zhang Su squatted by the water, using his sharp edge to deal with the fish caught by the big squid. Hearing Ron's question, Zhang Su thought for a while and said, "If you want to defeat a fire dragon head-on, it's impossible. I don't think a student can easily defeat an adult dragon. That requires several adult wizards to control. Fire dragon. You should find a way in other ways." "Is there any way?" Ron asked. "Remember what I told you 3 years ago on Halloween night after you and Harry rescued Hermione from the troll's big stick?" Zhang Su asked back. "You have to figure out what advantages and disadvantages you have. Weaknesses, figuring out the strengths and weaknesses of the enemy in front of you." Zhang Su went on to say, "If you figure this out, you can use your own strengths to address the other party's weaknesses." How to do this can only be answered through your own analysis, and no one else can help you. Zhang Su finally said, "Do you still remember the floating spell you used to stun the giant? Sometimes, the best spell is not the most powerful one, but the most suitable one." After Zhang Su finished speaking, he ignored Ron, who was in deep thought, and continued to handle the fish in his hand. Zhang Su broke off a lot of branches from the willow trees by the lake, put the cut and boned fish on the willow branches, and used the willow branches to support the fish like a butterfly spreading its wings. Then they brought the fish skewered on willow branches to Hermione's linked pyre, and formed a circle around the burning pyre. When the fish is grilled to medium rare, sprinkle with salt, paprika and cumin. It didn't take long for the delicious grilled fish to be ready. "Actually, you don't have to worry too much," Zhang Su, who was eating grilled fish, said to the absent-minded Ron. "The competitions will definitely not be simple, and they may even be dangerous, but there will definitely not be any content that confuses you. Besides, you also know that the price of a fire dragon is not cheap. If you want to fight the fire dragon head-on, if one or two of the fire dragons are accidentally killed or disabled by you, the school will lose money. Hogwarts, it's nothing to do with spokesperson's money, but Durmstrang will probably feel bad for a long time." After listening to Zhang Su's words, Ron's expression became a little more relaxed. Zhang Su still remembers that in the story, Black had a simple little magic to deal with the fire dragon. Zhang Su didn't know what this magic was. It was probably because Harry wasn't going to the competition, so Black didn't tell Harry and Ron. Zhang Su reckoned that this magic was like the goblins of Gringotts dealing with a dragon that guarded the vault underground. It used some kind of conditioned reflex to make the fire dragon fearful. If there is such magic, it stands to reason that Ron's second brother must know about it, but judging by Ron's appearance today, Charlie didn't tell Ron that such magic is probably an industry secret. After eating the grilled fish, Ron and Hermione went to find Hagrid. Hagrid knew the characteristics of various dragons very well. I believe he can give Ron a lot of opinions and suggestions. Period. Zhang Su carried the packed grilled fish and brought Gabriel back to his dormitory. There was still a girl in the dormitory who was lying in bed and hadn't had lunch yet. Chapter 164. The game begins. Time soon came to the first day of the Triwizard Tournament. This morning, the students and professors in the entire Hogwarts castle seemed a little absent-minded. Everyone's thoughts are all on the game that will start in the afternoon. It's just that the mood of the students is curiosity and excitement, while the mood of the professors is worry. During lunch, the students in the cafeteria were discussing the upcoming competition. Zhang Chu had already sat at the dining table in Badger Yard, and kept persuading Cedric to eat more. Hermione sat next to Ron at the table in the Lion Court, filling his plate with grilled sausages, fried tuna and boiled potatoes. Fearing that Fu Rong would be too nervous to eat lunch before the game, Zhang Su found Dobby yesterday and asked Dobby to prepare her favorite Ville Blanc, seafood pasta, and Napoleon for Fu Rong at lunch today cake. At the dining table in the Snake Court, Crumb sat by himself, watching the other three warriors, while eating a chicken sandwich by himself. Lunchtime ended quickly, and Madame Maxime came to pick up Fleur. Zhang Su, Gabriel and Dongnia walked towards the arena beside the Forbidden Forest. Sitting in the auditorium, Zhang Su found that the layout here is a bit interesting. Instead of enclosing a field like a Quidditch pitch, the auditorium faces towards the Forbidden Forest like an opera house. There is also a stage made of wood next to the Forbidden Forest, and a long pool of water was built between the stage and the Forbidden Forest. There were not only students from the three schools in the auditorium, but also many foreign wizards occupied a stand. This time the Triwizard Tournament sold a lot of tickets to the public. Unlike the Quidditch World Cup that the whole family watched, many of the people who came to watch the Triwizard Tournament this time were young wizards. I saw many Hogwarts students who graduated in the past 2 years. After all the audience sat down, Dumbledore stood up, and the whole arena immediately became silent. Next, Dumbledore began the leadership speech. At the same time, Zhang Su distributed snacks to friends sitting next to him. Gabriel's sugar-fried chestnuts, Scarlet sunflower seeds, Tanya's cranberry cookies, Zhang Chu's dried figs, Harry's tomato-flavored popcorn, Hermione's fried corn on the cob, Neville and Hannah's nougat, twin brothers' toffee, Daphne and her sister's syrup-filled QQ candies. Zhang Su handed over a snack they liked to the friends sitting nearby. Even Draco Malfoy, who was sitting not far away, Zhang Su threw him a pack of dried fish. After the snacks were distributed, Dumbledore's leadership speech also ended. As soon as Dumbledore's speech was over, there was applause from the audience, and everyone saw the Weird Sisters band appear on the stage. Soon, a passionate melody sounded over the arena. With the singing of "Go, go, go ale, ale, ale," the emotions of the audience on the field were aroused, and even Gabriel waved her hands along with the audience. Seeing that the Cup of Life, which he had copied from the Triwizard Tournament with slight changes, became an instant hit, Zhang Su nodded in relief. Music crosses borders and barriers between wizards and muggles. As the music ended, the Weird Sisters, who had finished playing the theme song for this year's Triwizard Tournament, left the stage to warm applause from the audience. An NBSP, next, with a wave of the wand in Dumbledore's hand, who stood up, the water in the pool behind the stage sprayed from bottom to top at high speed, atomized to form a wall-like screen, and then the water screened the heads of 4 warriors appeared. At the same time, Fu Rong and the other 4 came out of the tent in a corner of the shopping mall and stood in the center of the stage. At this time, Ludo Bagman, director of the Department of Sports and Sports of the Ministry of Magic, who came out of the tent with Fu Rong and the others, came to the referee's seat and introduced the upcoming game to the audience. In the Forbidden Forest, there are 7 different fire dragons, and there is a golden egg in the egg guarded by each fire dragon, and the task of the warriors is to pick up the golden egg. Every time the warriors pick up a golden egg, they will get corresponding points. The more golden eggs they pick up, the higher the points they get. After the game, the referees score the warriors based on their performance and the number of golden eggs the warriors picked up. While the warriors are looking for the fire dragon in the Forbidden Forest and picking up the golden eggs from the fire dragon, they must also beware of the dangers in the Forbidden Forest. After Ludo Bagman finished his introduction, on the water curtain behind the stage, the heads of the 4 warriors turned into live images of the 4 of them. Just like playing a game, the viewing angle on the water curtain is located behind and above them, and their activities and surrounding scenes can be seen from the water curtain. Zhang Su could tell that it was Dumbledore's handwriting. Last year Old Deng made a lot of trouble with Zhang Su's big screen for class and the equipment they used for filming. In the end, Dumbledore developed this water curtain movie and live broadcast system. Following Ludo Bagman's order, the 4 warriors walked through the water curtain into the Forbidden Forest. This event is quite interesting, Zhang Su said while eating a yogurt and berry sandwich biscuit. Old Deng and the others also play 2 peaches to kill 3 warriors. Scarlet said while nibbling melon seeds, there are 4 warriors and 7 golden eggs. These few days have eliminated the possibility of everyone sharing the golden eggs equally. In order not to let my golden eggs, they have fewer eggs than others, so they must get at least 2 golden eggs. If they don't want to get only 1 golden egg, or even none, then they must go all out. In fact, the best option is for 3 of them to join forces to deal with the 6 fire dragons. Before the isolated person gets the 2nd golden egg, each of them gets 2 golden eggs. This is safe and trouble-free, Zhang Su said while putting away the biscuits and taking out a bag of peanuts. The problem lies in this time difference, Scarlet said after turning out a trash can on the ground to hold melon seed shells. The time for 3 people to deal with 6 fire dragons is theoretically longer than the time for 1 person to deal with 2 fire dragons. Long. And this has not counted the time spent searching for the location of the fire dragon in the Forbidden Forest. If the 3 of them are to join forces, then just to be on the safe side, 1 person must be sent to drag the other party's hind legs. But this is very likely to change when it becomes 2 duos. The advantage of the trio is gone, and everyone is on the same starting line. The people who designed the competition at the Ministry of Magic seem to have put a lot of thought into it. Zhang Su said, they weren't afraid that the warriors would join forces from the beginning. Several people around listened to Zhang Su and Scarlet's analysis, and nodded incessantly. Are the other animals in the Forbidden Forest dangerous? Tanya, who was sitting next to Gabriel, asked worriedly. There are no very dangerous animals on the side near Hogwarts, Zhang Su said after thinking for a while. The centaur tribe living inside, I believe Dumbledore has dealt with them. Man-eating spiders are almost extinct. Now there are only a small number of large animals that can kill people who enter the Forbidden Forest at once. Other animals, such as various poisonous snakes, as long as you pay attention to them, the problem will not be serious. Tanya nodded reassuringly, and then focused all her attention on the live movie on the water curtain in front of the auditorium. Chapter 165 Trouble in the Forbidden Forest. In the auditorium, Zhang Su and others watched the 4 warriors on the water screen film struggling forward in the Forbidden Forest. Before the 15th century, Britain was a country with rich forest resources and sufficient timber for self-sufficiency. After the first industrial revolution in the middle of the 18th century, forest resources were almost lost due to deforestation, and the forest coverage rate was only 5 at the lowest point. After World War II, the United Kingdom passed legislation to estimate artificial afforestation, and it was not until the beginning of the 21st century that the forest coverage rate was gradually restored to the level of 10.8. The Forbidden Forest can be said to be one of the few original ecological forests in the UK. The Forbidden Forest is a typical coniferous forest. There are no shrubs on the ground, but in the forest that has never been developed for thousands of years, the ground is full of fallen leaves, fallen trunks, moss-covered stumps and unknown growths. Coiled roots of many years. There were no roads in the Forbidden Forest, only a few paths that Hagrid and the centaurs walked out. But in the Forbidden Forest, as long as you are not afraid of climbing over fallen tree trunks, crossing streams, or slipping on mossy stones, you can walk freely in the glades. The 4 warriors chose 4 directions to disperse and walked to the depths of the Forbidden Forest alone, carefully looking for the place where the fire dragon was. In the deep mountains and old forests, the most troublesome thing is not the huge beasts, but the ubiquitous mosquitoes, leeches and poisonous snakes lurking in the dark. Fortunately, it is the end of November, and the weather is already very cold. The common bugs in the Forbidden Forest are hibernating, and the snakes are also looking for places to hibernate. But there are some amazing insects that defy the cold and plan to feast on as much as possible before the snow falls. A few nights ago, Madame Maxim found out that the match would be held in the Forbidden Forest. Zhang Su, who had wandered in the Forbidden Forest many times in the past few years, immediately prepared a set of equipment suitable for activities in the Forbidden Forest for Furin. The feet are waterproof, non-slip and puncture-resistant outdoor sports boots, and the body is a set of waterproof and breathable outdoor sports suits, which makes Furin's painting style special today. From the water screen movie, it can be seen that Fu Rong's activities are much more convenient than the other 3 wearing robes. Walking in the Forbidden Forest, Furin checked from time to time whether the trousers, cuffs and neckline were sealed tightly, then add a spell in these places. In the Forbidden Forest, there are several species of leech-like insects that jump on animals to suck blood when they pass by. If someone passed by, they would get into the wizard's warm robes and would not come out. Once when Zhang Su met twin brothers in the Forbidden Forest, there was a bug like this hanging on the back of George's neck, but George didn't feel it at all. After Zhang Su cleaned up the 8-eyed spiders 2 years ago, there were not many dangerous animals in the Forbidden Forest near Hogwarts, and the dangerous animals that tried to occupy the new territory were basically stewed by the horsemen. The 4 warriors walked for half an hour in the Forbidden Forest, and encountered only ordinary animals such as squirrels, foxes, hares and a few deer. But this does not mean that the current Forbidden Forest is safe. Soon, Ron was tricked. When Ron was about to pass a vine lying on the ground, the vine suddenly wrapped around one of Ron's legs, trying to pull him under a big tree. At the same time, the audience who saw Ron's attack through the water curtain movie let out a burst of exclamation. Zhang Su even heard the screams of Mrs. Weasley and Ginny coming from the auditorium of wizards outside the school not far away. "It's the dragon's claw vine," Hermione shouted. "The mucus on it can digest the bones of its prey. Period." "Don't worry, Hermione." Zhang Su comforted Hermione. "If the dragon claw vine wants to digest Ron's bones, it will at least have to digest until Christmas." Hermione didn't answer Zhang Su's words, and looked nervously at Ron, who was dragged to the ground by the dragon claw vine on the water curtain. After being dragged on the ground for a meter or two, Ron grabbed a raised tree root on the ground with one hand to stabilize his body. The hand holding the wand cast a spell on the dragon claw vine that was dragging him. Judging from Ron's mouth shape and the effect of the spell, this is a split spell. The dragon claw vine that was dragging Ron was blown into 2 sections, and Ron escaped temporarily. As soon as Ron stood up, he found that many vines around him were attacking him. So Ron waved his wand and ignited the fallen leaves on the ground to form a wall of fire. While the dragon claw vine was blocked by the fire wall, Ron ran out of the dragon claw vine's predation range. Seeing that Ron was out of danger, many people breathed a sigh of relief from the auditorium. Next, the other 3 warriors also encountered danger one after another. Crumb came across a 3-headed, 7-foot-long, orange-yellow snake with black stripes. When encountering a snake from Africa in the woods in northern England, the first reaction of Clum and many viewers was to be confused. Only some people knew that this rune snake could come to the Forbidden Forest all the way. Needless to say, it must be Hagrid's credit. Rune snakes were once associated with dark wizards. Much is known about their habits because some parcel tongues have spoken to them. Crumb from Durmstrang naturally knows how to deal with such snakes. Soon, a spell hit the rune snake's heart, and the rune snake twitched a few times before falling down. Seeing that Crumb had dealt with the rune snake neatly, applause erupted from the audience. Cedric encountered a large group of Cornish elves. These elves should have been brought to Hogwarts by Gilderoy Lockhart 2 years ago, and they were bred after they ran into the Forbidden Forest. These elves were obviously not good-tempered guys, and they attacked Cedric, who entered their territory. Cedric could only rely on a big tree to cover his back, and then used a spell to beat down the elves one by one. Quintupods are 5-legged, highly dangerous magical creatures. The carnivore is covered in thick reddish-brown hair and has a club foot at the end of each leg. As a carnivore, 5-legged monsters have a special preference for humans. Who knows why only 5-legged monsters that live on Delia, the northernmost island of Scotland, appear in the Forbidden Forest. No need to think about it, percent of this is Hagrid's masterpiece. Seeing Furin encounter the enemy, Gabriel hugged Zhangsu's arm nervously. Zhangsu had to stroke Gabriel's little head to make her relax. After putting an iron armor charm on herself, Fleur attacked the 5-legged monster. Soon, a spell hit the 5-legged monster, causing it to become slightly confused. Then, Fleur cast 2 levitation charms on the stopped 5-legged monster. The 5-legged monster floated into the air and ended up getting stuck on a branch. Seeing that Fleur easily solved the problem in front of her, Gabriel also heaved a sigh of relief. Chapter 166, Getting the First Golden Egg. As the 4 warriors traveled deeper into the Forbidden Forest, the more dangers they encountered. Today Ron committed a 5-element crime, and he was attacked by tentacles again. The thorn tree, another hidden killer in the Forbidden Forest. What it uses to hunt is its roots, which are an animal's nightmare. It senses the vibration of the ground, so it breaks through the soil and pulls the creature under the soil to digest slowly. It also digests an animal without leaving any traces. The thorn tree digests its prey very slowly. We can dig Ron out after the game. Zhangsu continued to comfort the nervous Hermione. This time Ron's feet were entangled by the roots of the thorn tree. Under the protection of the soil, methods such as flames did not cause much damage to the roots. Soon, Ron changed his target and launched an attack on the trunk of the thorn tree not far away. Just like Draco Malfoy was able to use his own dragon to get out of the hole in the 2nd grade. As an ancient wizarding family, the Weasley family still has family education at the bottom of the box, but the children of the Weasley family only learn these when they are adults. Period. After being named a warrior, Mr. Weasley decided to teach Ron the family's unique knowledge in advance. So, the Wheel Eyes had Ron and Hermione cornered in Mrs. Puttiff's tea house that day. A blue flame spouted from the top of Ron's wand, and quickly burned the thorn tree into a big torch. Zhangsu and the others could see the thick smoke rising from the Forbidden Forest in the audience. The temperature is over 6,000 degrees. Zhangsu said, dumbfounded. Zhangsu himself is a good player at playing with fire, and he knows the power of the spell used by Ron. The fierce fire curse is very powerful, but the temperature is only over 3,000 degrees. If the temperature of the magic flame is to be greatly increased, it is not enough to simply accumulate magic power, but to work on the structure of the magic spell. I really want to learn. Zhangsu said. You go dig Potter's Corner, and you can learn it by marrying the little girl from the Weasley family. Scarlet next to Zhangsu said, knocking on the melon seeds. Forget it. Zhangsu also knew that there were some things in each family that were not to be passed on, and Zhangsu's family was the same. While chatting with the people around, Zhangsu followed Fu Rong's actions on the water screen movie. Suddenly, a dazzling white animal came out from behind a big tree and came to Fleur. It was a unicorn. Fleur put away her wand, slowly approached the unicorn, and gently raised its neck and back. The unicorn seemed to enjoy the Furin land very much, and even rubbed Furin with his face. The hibiscus with silvery hair and the flawless snow-white unicorn stood together, and the whole picture became beautiful for a while. Is this the power from Vila's blood? Scarlet asked. It is impossible for ordinary witches to have such a good relationship with unicorns all of a sudden. Not only the power of Vila, Zhangsu said, but also the power of chestnuts. What? Scarlet was taken aback, even speaking Cantonese. It's just feeding them chestnuts often. Zhangsu also replied in Cantonese. Scarlet's face twitched, and he didn't know what to say for a while. Next, Fu Rong turned over and rode on the unicorn, and ran to the depths of the Forbidden Forest. The audience immediately applauded when they saw this scene. "Yo, I didn't expect that you haven't attacked her yet." Scarlet put on a funny face, said to Zhang Su. "I don't know what you're talking about," Zhang Su said with a serious face. "Pretend." Scarlet put on a contemptuous expression. Unicorns can be used by witches, but there are still specific requirements for riding a unicorn. Scarlet said, "I saw her going to your dormitory at night, but I didn't expect you to be able to bear it. Shouldn't you? It will be hahohi. Am I the hahohi? Why don't you verify it?" Zhang Su snapped back. When the middle-aged woman started to speed up the car, the young Chu Mingshan car guard had no choice but to bow down. Zhang Su knew this well. In his previous life, when he was just working, he was often used by the ants in the office to make fun of him. At this time, as a man, you must not be cowardly. As long as you're counseled, the opponent can use the tractor to drift away. Just as Zhang Su and Scarlet were driving faster and faster, there were coughing sounds from both sides of them. These two guys forgot that Zhang Chu and Dong Nia, who were sitting next to each other, understood Chinese. So the two immediately shut up and concentrated on watching the game. Fleur, who was riding a unicorn, soon came to the place where a fire dragon was. Fleur rode the unicorn around the Hungarian hotel from a distance, observing her next opponent. It was a clearing by the water in the Forbidden Forest. The Hungarian hotel with black scales was crouching low, guarding its nest of eggs, with its wings folded in half, its long neck stretched out, and its head held high. Its yellow eyes looked around. The golden egg lies just under the front paws of the Hungarian hotel. Fleur walked around behind the hotel, got off the unicorn's back, and let the unicorn go away. Standing on the edge of the clearing, Fleur raised her wand and waved it non-stop. Almost half a minute later, a white light shot out from the tip of Fleur's wand, traveled a short distance, and hit the Hungarian hotel on the back of the head. After a while, the Hungarian hotel lowered its head and dozed off. Only the sleeping Hungarian hotel was snoring, and while it was snoring, it spewed a strong flame from its mouth and nostrils. Fortunately, Furin was attacking from the rear of the Hungarian hotel at this time. If she was standing in front, she would be injured by the flame sprayed out by the snoring dragon. The Hungarian hotel solved it, but how to get the golden egg has become a thorny problem. When the Hungarian hotel was asleep, she stretched out her forearms and took all the eggs in the nest into her arms. How to sneak a golden egg out of the arms of the Hungarian hotel is a dangerous job. Fleur thought for a while, then she changed a wand, and in the water, she conjured a water figure nearly 2 meters high, and then the water figure slowly approached the sleeping Hungarian hotel. Just after the water man gently picked up the golden egg from the forearm of the Hungarian hotel, the sleeping Hungarian hotel seemed to feel something and moved its head. As a result, the Hungarian hotel, which had just changed the position of its head, snored again, and a pillar of fire flew past the water man holding the golden egg. The startled Furong immediately controlled the water man to bring the golden egg over. When Furin took the golden egg from the water figure immediately dispersed into a puddle of water. Furong, who got the golden egg, used transfiguration to turn a stone on the ground into a backpack, then put the golden egg into the backpack and carried it, and finally left the scene quickly. Chapter 167. When Fleur got the first golden egg, Cedric, Ron and Krum also came near the fire dragon, ready to find a way to pick up the golden egg. It is not cost-effective to fight the fire dragon head-on. Cedric chose to lure the fire dragon away. Cedric turned the stones on the ground into sheep, and let the sheep wander not far from the Welsh green dragon. The Welsh green dragon in front of Cedric obviously didn't eat breakfast or lunch, maybe even last night's supper. After staring at the flock for half a minute, the Welsh green dragon decided to turn into a Welsh grey dragon, stood up and walked towards the flock. The sheep saw a huge animal coming towards them, and ran into the woods in a hurry. Seeing that the late lunch was about to run away, the Welsh green dragon hurriedly chased after him. At this time, the Welsh green dragon didn't realize that these sheep ran a little fast. Just when the Welsh green dragon ate mutton and ate a mouthful of stones, Cedric, who was lurking near the dragon egg, had already run away holding the golden egg, leaving behind the back of the Welsh green dragon, who came back. At the same time, in front of Ron was a lion dragon lying on the dragon's egg, with a golden egg and other dragon eggs beside it. Ron hides behind a tree, waving his wand. Golden eggs fly. However, the golden egg still stayed in the pile of dragon eggs and did not respond to Ron's flying curse. After coming over for a while, Ron changed another target. The dragon egg is flying. At this time, a dragon egg suddenly left Lion Dragon's side and flew towards the big tree where Ron was. At this moment, the lion dragon lying on its stomach found that one of its eggs was flying into the distance, and immediately got up and chased after it. Seeing the lion dragon running towards him after the dragon egg, Ron, who was startled, immediately cast a floating spell on himself, and then climbed to the top of the tree on hands and feet. Fortunately, Shilling only had his own eggs in his eyes, and he didn't find any trace of Ron. After Shilling picked up the dragon egg on the ground and looked around for a while, he went back holding the dragon egg. The danger was gone, and Ron on the top of the tree was relieved. After climbing down the tree, Ron reselected a location, and used transfiguration on the ground to conjure up several lion dragon eggs not far away. Then Ron ran to the other side and cast the spell on the dragon egg again. This time Ron didn't use the flying curse, but an expulsion spell that was the opposite of the flying curse. The departure of the leaves is the pursuit of the wind or the failure of the tree. Looking at the dragon egg flying away again, Zhang Su suddenly thought of this sentence that was quite popular on the internet for a while in his previous life. Back then, a girl wrote this sentence on a small note to Zhang Su, and Zhang Su replied on it, "The main cause of fallen leaves is the abscisic acid secreted by trees." However, the departure of dragon egg is Ron's pursuit, and lion dragon will not refuse to stay. Not long after lying down, Shilling saw his egg flying away again, so he had to get up again and chase after it. After chasing the place where the dragon egg landed, Shilling was dumbfounded. There was more than one dragon egg on the ground, and several dragon eggs were scattered around. Shilling walked up to a dragon egg, sprayed fire on the dragon egg, and then the dragon egg exploded with a bang. Shilling walked to the second dragon egg and continued to spray fire on the dragon egg, but this dragon egg also boomed. After the lion dragon breathed fire at the third dragon egg, the dragon egg remained silent. At this time, the lion dragon picked up the dragon egg on the ground and walked to the next dragon egg. "What a handsome lightning skill," Zhang Su said while watching the water screen movie. "I saw Ron cast a levitating spell on himself, and when the lion dragon was picking up dragon eggs in the woods, he jumped off a big tree and went straight to the golden egg. That Ron went 2 or 3 meters away in one step, ran to the golden egg, picked up the golden egg and ran away. When Shilling, who was holding the real dragon egg, returned to the egg nest, he found that there was a local tyrant egg missing in the egg nest, so he kept searching around. At this time Ron had already run away with a golden egg. While the audience was cheering for the 2 Hogwarts warriors to get the first golden egg, Krum also got his first golden egg. The first dragon Krum encountered was the Heshidia black dragon. Unlike Cedric and Ron's adjustment of the dragon and leaving the nest, Krum chose to face it from the front. For many creatures, eyes are very fragile, and dragons are no exception. Reptiles grow the nictitating membrane covering the conjunctiva, which is a kind of translucent eyelid, which can cover the eyeball without affecting the vision, and has the function of protecting the entire eyeball. The fire dragon, which is also a reptile, naturally has a nictitating membrane. The fire dragon's nictitating membrane can prevent the eyeballs from being damaged by wind and sand when the fire dragon is flying in the air, and at the same time protect its eyes from high temperature damage when the fire dragon breathes fire. To cast a spell on the dragon's eyes, it is necessary to ensure that the dragon does not close the nictitating membrane when opening the eyelids. Krum stood in front of the black dragon of Heshidia, and the black dragon stood up, staring at Krum with a pair of big eyes. Zhang Su was a bit familiar with this scene, as if he had seen it before when he was traveling. Cyrillic letter deck. "What are you looking at? Look at you. Try again dish. Try and try our old lady's eyes." In the water curtain movie, the audience saw that Krum suddenly raised his wand, and a spell was shot at the black dragon's eyes. A few seconds later, the audience heard a black dragon's wailing in the forbidden forest. The black dragon with injured eyes struggled in pain, spewing flames from its mouth from time to time, flapping its wings wildly, flicking its tail wildly, and stepping on the surrounding ground constantly with its 4 feet. The dragon egg next to the black dragon was damaged a lot by it, and the golden egg was even stepped into the soil by it. Krum saw the opportunity when the black dragon started to leave the egg nest, and rushed straight to the golden egg. Just when Krum was digging the golden egg out of the soil, he suddenly heard a gust of wind behind him. Krum immediately got down on the ground, and the black dragon's tail swung over him dangerously. Krum immediately fled from the black dragon's nest by rolling and crawling with a golden egg in his arms. Viewers were relieved to see Krum flee to safety. So far, The four warriors have obtained the first golden egg and started to snatch the second golden egg. The first to find the second fire dragon was the unicorn female Nightfleur. With the help of the unicorn, Furin can no longer worry about the dangerous animals and plants in the Forbidden Forest, so Furin is much faster than others. In this regard, neither the referee nor the audience expressed any objection. The unicorn that came here by its own ability, why don't you let it ride? This time, Furong encountered a Peruvian viper-toothed dragon, which is the smallest among all known dragons, but the fastest flying one. At the same time, the teeth of the Peruvian Venometant were highly poisonous. Seeing this, Zhang Su also became nervous. Chapter 168 End of Game 1. Perhaps it was frightened by the screams of the black dragon of the Hashidia Islands after being injured by Crumb just now. The Peruvian vipertooth did not lie down and doze next to its egg nest like other dragons just now, but walked around the egg nest keep moving. The Peruvian vipertooth is fast and belongs to the agile player. Even though its body is as long as two Yao Mings lying sideways, but the length of its tail and the excellent magic defense performance of the scales on its body make it effective at a safe distance. Hitting it is quite difficult. When dealing with a Hungarian hardtail just now, Furin directly cast a spell on the back of its head to make it fall asleep. If the spell was cast on its tail, it would not have such a good effect. However, facing the small-headed and fast Peruvian vipertooth, Furong was not confident in hitting its head with one blow. If you can't get a one-hit kill, this kind of high sensitivity, high attack, high defense enemy is a nightmare for crispy wizards. Not every wizard is called Gandalf. As for drawing it away like dealing with other fire dragons, it is useless. Its speed is too fast, and it can be rushed back soon after being drawn away. Fortunately, Zhang Su had made various plans for Furin to address the weaknesses of various fire dragons, and tried to use the simplest method to achieve the goal. After learning that there were 7 fire dragons and deduced that the competition venue might be inside the Forbidden Forest, Zhang Su made supplements to these plans. The Peruvian viper-toothed dragon is not without its weaknesses. Its weakness is the weak strength caused by its small size. Of course, this is compared to other types of fire dragons' relatively thin limbs. It is destined that it is not the kind of powerful fire dragon. When Zhang Su saw the Peruvian viper-tooth for the first time, he had the feeling that after he became a giant panda, he could rush up to fight it with an iron rod. Now the Peruvian viper-tooth feels very irritable. It was suddenly transported all the way to this place when it was hatching eggs, well, not to mention the acclimatization, and the food is not good. What's more important is the screams from the other fire dragons just now, which made it feel lingering fear after hearing it. Suddenly, the Peruvian venom tooth felt something hit him. The Peruvian viper-tooth looked around and saw a person throwing stones at it in the distance. The Peruvian venom tooth immediately rushed towards the figure. The figure turned around and ran, but failed before running very far. Seeing the target fall, the Peruvian viper-tooth immediately jumped on it, opened its mouth and bit down. At this moment, several big trees next to the Peruvian viper-toothed dragon crashed down, hitting the Peruvian viper-fanged dragon one after another. After the smoke and dust cleared, Furong, who was hiding behind a big tree not far away, saw that the Peruvian vipertooth was pressed to the ground by the big tree and could not move. Seeing that the Peruvian vipertooth could not move for the time being, Furong immediately ran over to pick up the golden egg, put the golden egg into the backpack, and immediately called the unicorn to carry her away. Seeing that Furin had won the second golden egg, the audience gave applause like a landslide and tsunami. Well, only Snape in the audience kept a cold face and didn't applaud because he saw that when Furin cut down trees to make a trap just now, she used Shenfang axe Wu Ying. Now Furin, who was riding on the back of the unicorn, was exhausted. Just now, he cut a few big trees to make a gap, and then turned into a few natives. One was used as bait, and the others were caught by the Peruvian viper-tooth. Push down the big tree. These are not easy tasks, and now Furin's magic power is almost exhausted, so she can only ride back on the unicorn. Just as Fleur was cutting down the tree, Cedric and Ron joined him. After the two met in the Forbidden Forest, they did not come together tacitly, but kept a certain distance away, and then walked towards a roaring fire dragon not far away. It was a Swedish short-nosed dragon, and the flames it breathed has the highest temperature among all fire dragons. Like the flame spell mastered by Ron, the flames have reached more than 6,000 degrees. Cedric and Ron had to hide behind a big tree to discuss a solution to the problem. The two of them decided to repeat the trick and lure the fire dragon away. Ron cast the flying curse continuously, causing several dragon eggs to fly over from the dragon's nest. After the dragon eggs fell to the ground, Cedric transformed the stones on the ground into hounds with transfiguration. He picked up the eggs and scattered them to the depths of the woods. Then the two of them hid before the Swedish Brachiosaurus came, and finally took the golden egg while the Swedish Brachiosaurus was chasing its own egg. Cedric and Ron teamed up perfectly, and the two of them quickly got the golden egg guarded by the Swedish Brachiosaurus. In the end, the golden egg went to Cedric. Although Ron is crazy about acting, he can still tell the difference between right and wrong. Ron knew that Cedric was more likely to win the Goblet of Fire than himself. Since he has little hope of winning the championship himself, why not just be a good person and help Cedric anyway? His qualifications for the competition fell from the sky, and it doesn't matter to him whether he wins the championship or not as long as he can be famous in the competition. Ron is satisfied. If it weren't for the live broadcast of the water screen and the fear of dissatisfaction from the other two schools, Ron would have given the golden egg he had obtained to Cedric. Maybe it's because stupid people have stupid blessings, or maybe it's God's will in the dark. Ron's good luck will come in the next moment. A car, to be precise, a modified Ford Anglia 105e luxury car appeared in front of Ron and Cedric. This car was all too familiar to Ron, as he had flown it all the way from London to Hogwarts with Harry in his second year. In the end, the car hit the Whomping Willow, and after throwing Ron, Harry and their luggage out, the car ran into the Forbidden Forest. Looking at the car covered in mud and branches, Ron and Cedric glanced at each other, and at the same time came up with a bold idea. Ron and Cedric kept putting the iron armor charm on the car, and added a layer of stone armor to the front of the car. Then Ron and Cedric got into the car and drove the car into the sky. On this day, the Ukrainian Iron Belly guarding the golden egg became the world's first fire dragon to be knocked unconscious by a car. When Ron picked up his own golden egg, jumped into the car and flew away, there was only an unconscious Ukrainian Iron Belly on the ground and Crumb, who had just arrived with a bewildered face, immersed in the sunset together. At this moment, a signal flare indicating the end of the game rose in the sky. Furin galloped out of the Forbidden Forest on a unicorn, and the unicorn jumped up, carried Furin through the water curtain and landed in the center of the stage. When Fu Rong jumped down, the unicorn rubbed Fu Rong again with its own face, then brushed off its clothes and ran back to the Forbidden Forest, hiding its achievements and fame. Fu Rong smiled and raised the two golden eggs in her hands, which drew a tsunami of applause and cheers from the audience. Then Ron drove the car down from the sky and landed directly on the stage. Ron and Cedric walked out of the car holding two golden eggs at the same time, again detonating the emotions of the audience. After a while, Crumb with a dark face dragged his tired body out of the Forbidden Forest. Crumb's return was greeted with applause. Next comes the scoring session for the judges. The final result was that Fleur got the highest score, Cedric and Ron tied for second, and Clum was helplessly at the bottom. Chapter 169: A Banquet of Many Acquaintances. The first game of the Triwizard Tournament ended before dinner time, and the grand celebration banquet followed. Tonight's banquet was not held in the canteen for the first time, but a grand open-air barbecue banquet was held on the lawn by the lake. Not only students from the three schools participated in the banquet, but also wizards who came to watch the game. Their tickets to watch the game included dinner. Tonight's banquet is no longer divided by college. A few friends gather together by an oven to form a table, and a group of people arrange several ovens side by side to form a long table. Ron and Cedric sat together, and their four golden eggs were placed together on a side table for everyone to see. The students kept coming over to toast the two warriors, and the two of them would probably have enough butterbeer tonight. Fleur and Boxburton's classmates gathered together to celebrate today's victory. The parents of Ron and Cedric came to watch their game today, and after showing their faces in front of them, they went to tan their son with colleagues from the Ministry of Magic. Hermione's parents also came, and were quickly dragged away by Mr. Weasley. To Harry Potter's horror, his uncle and aunt also appeared in front of him with Bill Weasley. Although the expressions of the Dursleys were still very tense, they didn't show any disgusting expressions. It didn't take long for the Dursleys to chat with the Grangers. Fleur's parents also appeared, and after chatting with Mrs. Maxime for a while, they also joined Mr. and Mrs. Weasley's small circle. As a wizard, if you have some divination talent, when you are about to have some bad things happen in your daily life, you will often have a sudden tremor in your heart. Zhang Su, who felt his heart tremble a few times, said to Scarlet, who was pouring wine for himself sitting opposite the oven, "Pour the wine, and come whenever you go. You stay here, Don't move around. After speaking, Zhang Su immediately stood up and ran. Seeing Zhang Su, who suddenly ran away and disappeared into the crowd, Scarlet was taken aback for a moment. Half a minute later, a figure appeared in front of Scarlet. Zhang, why are you here? Zhang Su, who escaped unharmed, didn't care about his father's affairs, but kept looking for familiar figures in the crowd. Sure enough, Zhang Su found a familiar figure in the crowd. Second uncle, you are here too. Zhang Su sat by an oven and greeted the two people next to him. I just wanted to find you later. Zhang Su's second uncle, Zhang Bangsha, greeted Zhang Su while holding a piece of grilled steak for him. I thought you would be cleaned up by your father before coming here. Zhang Su's grandfather was born in Chinese medicine, so the names of Zhang Su's father and uncle are taken from medicinal materials. It's just that both of their brothers joined the army later, one in the army and the other in the navy. Why do you have time to come here? Zhang Su asked strangely. His second uncle and uncle were both active soldiers, unlike his father who changed jobs by himself. The renovation of the Kiev in St. Petersburg was completed, and it passed the inspection at the beginning of the month. So we got 2 months of vacation. I heard that you have an event here, and it happened that your father was also on vacation, so we came to play. Zhang Su's uncle Zhou Rui said. Then I can play on the Kiev when I go back to the summer vacation, Zhang Su said. Okay, the supporting facilities on the shore are also ready to be completed. I heard that it will open on May, Street next year. Zhang Bangsha said. Mr. Pan asked me to send you a message fold. I heard that there was a problem with the negotiation on the Minsk, Zhang Su asked. Zhang Su knew from domestic letters that the negotiations for the purchase of the Minsk had run into trouble. He still wanted to ask his second uncle and uncle who had been following up on the specific situation. Mao Shuang is so poor and crazy, they want to sell the Minsk, Novorossiysk and Novorossiysk together. The price is not low, and they require at least one of them to be refitted in their country, Zhang Bangsha said. What are your domestic plans? Zhang Su asked. There is no objection in principle in China, Zhang Bangsha replied. Now it's time to suppress the price. Zhang Bangsha knew that it was his nephew who proposed to buy an aircraft carrier to build a hotel and a park, so some questions that were not classified were also answered. He also suspected that his secret level was not as high as that of his nephew in this matter. Just then Gabriel ran coming. Now the most popular person in the family is the clever, lively and lovely Gabriel. As soon as Gabriel appeared, the topic of the aircraft carrier could only end, and then everyone talked about other things. At this time, classmates from Hogwarts came to Zhang Su, and the two accompanied by Gabriel said that you can go and play as you like now. After chatting with Hogwarts classmates for a while, Zhang Su found a person beside Dumbledore who theoretically could not appear in Hogwarts. After more than half an hour, when the man left Dumbledore, Zhang Su went to find him. Damn it, why are you here? Zhang Su said to Jin Hengduo, the fellow townsman who traveled through time. I came to watch the game. Jin Hengduo said, Master Zhao brought me here. Why is Mr. Zhao here? This time Zhang Su was frightened. He hadn't gotten any news before. Where's the old man? Playing with a broom over there. Jin Hengduo pointed to the flying track and said, I don't care about him, as long as he doesn't fight with Dumbledore. Zhang Su said, why did you find Dumbledore just now? Let's talk about business. Jin Hengduo said. At this time, Zhang Su took Jin Hengduo to find an empty table and sat down, then used the fillet spell to get 2 cups of pumpkin juice, and the two chatted while drinking. What business do you have with Lao Deng? Zhang Su asked curiously. Dumbledore's biography, Jin Hengduo said, we just talked about it with old Deng. Our company will edit and publish his biography. Then it will be sold as a biography in the wizarding world, and as a fantasy in the world of ordinary people. Novels are sold. At the same time, we also plan to make TV series and movies, and we will also make games in the future. Awesome. Zhang Su gave him a thumbs up and gave him a thumbs up. Just don't make special effects for 5 cents. No, we will shoot according to the level of Lord of the Rings in the future. Jin Hengduo said. If you want to invest, you can come to me. Zhang Su said, if you ask us to help you shoot, you can save a lot of computer special effects. I've been thinking about this. Jin Hengduo nodded. I still plan to cooperate with Moody, and his story must be very exciting. Jin Hengduo said to Zhang Su in a low voice, but the current Moody Zhang Su knew what Jin Hengduo meant and just nodded to him. Jin Hengduo, who understood what Zhang Su meant, also nodded his head, thinking about it. Speaking of which, you are responsible for this Triwizard Tournament, Jin Hengdu asked. The inside story is very complicated, Zhang Su said. Now things are messed up, and I want to use a cloud bomb to relieve my worries. This is your trouble. Jin Hengdu said, can you introduce Harry Potter to me? I want to follow up with Harry Potter after I finish Dumbledore's movie. Okay. Zhang Su nodded, come with me. After introducing Jin Hengdu to the bewildered Harry, Zhang Su stopped caring about him. At this moment, Mr. Zhao, who had had enough fun, appeared in front of Zhang Su, along with Dumbledore. Zhang Su followed the two old people and left the banquet scene, found a set of stone tables and benches used by the students to rest in an empty place by the lake, sat down, and began to talk about things. After the two old men finished talking about Zhang Su, they drove him away. Next, the two most powerful wizards in the east and the west sat on the stone bench by the lake and chatted while drinking tea, just like two old friends who hadn't seen each other for many years, laughing happily from time to time. At 10 o'clock in the evening, the banquet ended, the wizards who came to watch the game left Hogwarts, and the students began to return to the dormitory to rest. Zhang Su survived the first day of junior high school, but failed to escape the 15th day. In the end, he was caught by his father, and he endured the storm for half an hour. After seeing off a group of relatives and friends, and sending Gabriel back to the carriage, Zhang Su and Fu Rong strolled back to the castle together. After Furing experienced the game in the afternoon and the banquet in the evening, she was exhausted both physically and mentally. On the way back to Hogwarts Castle from Boxburton's carriage, she was about to yawn after taking a few steps. As soon as he entered the castle, Zhang Su pulled Fu Rong and said to her, I'll take you to a good place. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170 The Secret of the Golden Egg. The configuration of Hogwarts Castle has always been very luxurious, especially the two bathrooms in the castle. In the castle, there is a bathroom for professors and a bathroom for prefects. Although the professor's dormitory is equipped with a separate bathroom, it is a world of difference compared to the outrageously luxurious professor's bathroom. Zhang Su only went to the bathroom dedicated to professors once, and it would be embarrassing if he bumped into other professors. Although Zhang Su can use magic to seal the bathroom door, but as a young acting professor, it is not outrageous for him to block other old professors from the door. So Zhang Su chose to block the other prefects from the door. When Zhang Su usually went to the bathroom, he chose to wait until the access control time, so as to avoid the trouble of ruining other people's good deeds. After entering the prefect's bathroom with Fu Rong, Zhang Su took out two seal symbols and patted them on the door of the bathroom. One is to prevent others from opening the bathroom door, and the other is to prevent ghosts such as Moaning Myrtle from entering the bathroom. Take a hot bath and sleep well tonight, Zhang Su said to Fu Rong. When Fu Rong was about to enter the bath, Zhang Su had already filled the bath with hot water, foam and bubbles. There are about 100 golden faucets on the side of the bath, and these faucets spray various bubble baths mixed with hot water. Different bubble baths have different effects. Some bubble baths can eliminate physical fatigue, some can relieve mental tension, and some can treat some minor bruises. Zhang Su actually discovered a bubble bath to increase the mood. Isn't Hogwarts afraid of killing people? Furin walked into the bath, immersed in the hot water and foam, and felt her whole body relax immediately. The legs that were a little sore now only feel a little numb and itchy. His head, which was aching from excessive mana consumption and high mental tension, felt unprecedentedly relaxed. Zhang Su was behind Fu Rong, helping her wash her shiny silver hair. After coming over for a while, Zhang Su and Fu Rong sat together in the bathtub, the two golden eggs that the researcher worked so hard to get back from the fire dragon this afternoon. There is a very powerful spell on the golden egg, so that other spells such as the flying spell cannot work on it. Fu Rong opened a golden egg, and at the moment of opening the golden egg, a terrifying, piercing scream filled the entire bathroom. Fu Rong was startled, she let go of her hands, and the golden egg fell into the bath. As soon as the golden egg fell into the water, the ear-piercing screams disappeared, and a strange singing sound came from underwater. Zhang Su fished the golden egg out of the water, the singing stopped, and piercing screams came from the golden egg again. It seems that the golden egg is going to be opened underwater, Zhang Su said to Fu Rong. Fu Rong smiled and nodded. She was very happy to find the clue in the golden egg so quickly. "Let's go underwater and listen to what the golden egg is saying," said Fleur. So Zhang Su and Fu Rong dived into the water before, sat on the marble floor, and opened the golden egg. From within the golden egg some strange voices sang in unison, "Look for us, where our voices sound, we cannot sing on the ground. As you search, think carefully about, we stole your most beloved baby. You only have an hour, to find and recapture what we took. After an hour there is no hope, it is completely gone, never to appear." Zhang Su and Fu Rong surfaced, took the second golden egg and dived into the water, and found that the singing voice in this golden egg was the same as before. "It seems that this song is a riddle," Zhang Su said. "This is a very simple riddle." Fu Rong said next to Zhang Su, "Look for us, where our voice sounds, we can't sing clearly on the ground." It is obvious that it is the place of the second game. The singing in the golden egg can only be heard underwater, and the piercing sound can only be heard on the ground, indicating that the location is underwater. The only Hogwarts that meets this requirement is the lake. The next content of the clue is to prompt the content of the game. Obviously, the second game is for us to find our favorite baby in the lake for an hour. "That's right, I thought so too," Zhang Su replied. Seeing that the plot has not changed, Zhang Su is also relieved. "If it were you, what is your most beloved baby?" Fu Rong asked Zhang Su with a smile. Fu Rong was very happy that the clues of the second game were solved so quickly. "Of course it's you," Zhang Su replied. After hearing Zhang Su's answer, Fu Rong smiled and kissed him. Meanwhile, in the common room of the Lion House, students are working on Ron's 2 golden eggs. They just opened one of the golden eggs, and now everyone is rubbing their ears. "What's the sound? Sounds like a banshee, Ron. You might have to fight a banshee next time." "No, I think the opponent in the fight is Percy who is singing. Looks like someone is suffering and you're dealing with a Cruciatus curse for a while." People in the common room made all kinds of unreliable assumptions. "Maybe the golden egg must be under certain conditions to provide clues," Harry said. "What's the condition?" Ron asked. "Maybe, like hatching an egg," Harry said. "Should we find a dragon to hatch the eggs?" Fred Weasley said. "Fire is enough to hatch a dragon egg," said Hermione. The trio of Harry knew how to hatch dragon eggs. They had watched Hagrid hatch a dragon back then. Then, Ron put the golden egg in the common room fireplace and let the flames consume the golden egg. Everyone stared at the golden egg in the fire for a few minutes, and found that the golden egg hadn't changed at all. Ron wore dragon leather gloves and opened the golden egg in the fire. As a result, the golden egg screamed the same as before. Ron shook his hand, and the golden egg fell into the fire. After closing the golden egg again, Ron took it out of the fireplace and placed it on the long table in the common room. At this time, the golden egg was covered with ashes from the furnace. Cleaned up, Hermione cast a spell on the golden egg with her wand, but it didn't help. "It's useless, any spell won't work on the golden egg, otherwise I would have used the flying spell to get the golden egg," said Ron. Hermione transfigured a chair into a large bucket, then filled it with water, put the golden egg in it and scrubbed it. Hermione remembered that when Ron opened the golden egg in the fire and dropped it into the fire, some ashes got into the golden egg. So she opened the golden egg in the water to wash it. As soon as Hermione opened the golden egg, a strange singing sound came from the barrel. Everyone in the common room looked at the singing barrel and immediately cheered. The excited Ron even hugged Hermione. After coming over for a while, Ron, who came to his senses, blushed and let go of Hermione. "What is the golden egg singing?" That's what the students in the common room want to know. It's just that behind the wooden barrel, the voice of the golden egg can't be heard clearly. So Ron took a deep breath and plunged into the barrel. After a while, Ron raised his head, wiped off the water on his face, and said cheerfully to everyone, "I already know the clue that the golden egg told me." Chapter 171. 3-3 On the second day of the competition, 2 people were sealed on the bed by warm blankets. The warriors who participated in yesterday's game can take a day off today, while Zhang Su has classes only in the second quarter. So the 2 people who fell asleep after 2 o'clock in the morning can sleep in for a while. If Furin hadn't been exhausted after a hard game yesterday, maybe Zhang Su would have to find a way to ask for leave this morning. No matter how warm the bed is, there are times when you have to leave, and the alarm clock on the bedside goes off on time. Half an hour later, Zhang Su, who hastily put on his robe, rushed out of his professor's dormitory after confirming that everything was safe, and ran to the History of Magic classroom. Zhang Su finally ran into the classroom 5 seconds before class, out of breath. Zhang Su, who found a seat in the corner of the last row, decided to sleep through this class. He didn't sleep well last night. He is still a little sleepy and his legs are still a little weak. This time, Zhang Su realized what it means to be from France, passionate, twisting fiercely, and screaming loudly. If it weren't for the rich experience thousands of years ago, it might have been planted last night. After sleeping through the history of magic class, Zhang Su was going to the cafeteria to replenish his energy. As a result, as soon as he walked halfway, Zhang Su was dragged into an empty classroom by the twin brothers of the Weasley family. "Would you like a custard biscuit, Zhang?" George handed Zhang Su a biscuit. Zhang Su took the biscuit and did not eat it, but held it in his hand and observed it carefully. You can't easily eat the food given by the Weasley twin brothers. This is something that every student in Hogwarts knows, Zhang Su said while looking at the biscuits. The Weasley brothers seemed to have heard some great compliment, and the two clapped their hands in celebration. It's a very good body transformation technique. It's turning into some kind of bird, Zhang Su said. Yes, eating it can turn a person into a canary in 1 minute, Fred said. Can I transform into other animals, such as tuna or giant squid? Zhang Su asked. Turning into tuna at Hogwarts means worrying about Professor McGonagall, said George. Other animals are being studied, but we don't have that much funding. Fred said, although the family has money now, our mother has never increased our pocket money. Tell me how much money you want, and I will invest for you. Zhang Su took out Ringgit's checkbook and said. After negotiating the investment matters, the three walked out of the classroom and met Dumbledore, who was going to the cafeteria in the corridor. Do you want a pre-dinner dessert, Professor Dumbledore? Zhang Su handed the custard biscuit to Dumbledore. Dumbledore took the biscuit and looked at it, then at Zhang Su and the twin brothers, raised his eyebrows, and finally ate the biscuit. After a while, Dumbledore remained unchanged. Looking at the somewhat disappointed Weasley brothers, Dumbledore said with a smile, I don't think it's sweet enough. Looking at the back of the departing Dumbledore, the twin brothers looked thoughtful. The twins, who Dumbledore reminded them of, looked thoughtful throughout lunch. After lunch, Zhang Su planned to go back to the dormitory to see Furin, but he was stopped by the twin brothers as soon as he walked out of the cafeteria. An NBSP, what's the matter? Zhang Su asked. There's something I forgot to tell you just now, George said. Dragon, do you like dragons? Fred asked. Live or familiar? Zhang Su asked back. It's the fire dragons from yesterday's competition, because some of them were injured, and they had to recuperate in Hogwarts for a few days before being transported back. Fred said. We met James McGibbon, Charlie's old friend who worked at the dragon farm last night, and he promised to take us to see those dragons tonight. Do you want to go together? George said. Okay, Zhang Su nodded. When are we going tonight? 10:30 tonight, George said. Nothing new happened in the afternoon class. Zhang Su taught the students a Muggle research class after finishing the charms class. During dinner, Fu Rong also came to the cafeteria. During dinner, Tanya, who was sitting next to Fu Rong, kept teasing Fu Rong, and Fu Rong's face was as red as a tomato. After dinner, there was a debate meeting tonight in the reading room. Fu Rong and the others went to watch the excitement, while Zhang Su was busy in the office by himself. Since Zhang Su handed over the management of the reading room to Zhang Chu has done very well. In addition to the original salon, he also held activities such as debates and student speeches. Due to the increasing number of students participating in the activities, these activities are now held on the rooftop above the reading room. Within a month, events here had attracted the attention of students from Boxbotans and Durmstrang. Boxbotan also had the reading room created by Zhang Su back then, and Furin had always been in charge of it, but the activities there were not as rich as the ancestral court. The students in Durmstrang found this kind of activity a novelty for the first time. Zhang Su also helped matchmaking and held Karm's Quidditch lecture and Dongnia's alchemy lecture. The current reading room has become a place for academic exchanges between the three schools. The topic of the debate tonight is whether black magic has a positive effect. Most of the students who support the affirmative point of view in this debate are students who have been led astray by Zhang Su. Their point of view is to delete it doesn't matter if it's black or white. Hermione, turn off the lights and delete it doesn't matter if the cat is black or white. The one who can catch mice is nice cat. This view has been opposed by many students, so there's this debate tonight. In tonight's debate, Zhang Su is not afraid that the students will pull out their wands if they disagree, because he has received news that Dumbledore will attend tonight. Now Zhang Su is writing an article in his office and preparing to submit it to a youth magazine. The title of the article is The Study of Business Development and Innovation under the background of the globalization of magic society and globalization. Zhang Su told readers in the article that as long as globalization is achieved, you can buy broomsticks for half the price in the past. From clothing, books to crucibles, everything can be bought at a much lower price than now. As for where these low-priced products are produced, and what risks local companies in the UK will face, Zhang Su did not mention a word. Zhang Su also told those manufacturers that as long as they are globalized, their products can be sold all over the world. As for whether anyone will buy the products produced after the manufacturers spend money to expand their production capacity, Zhang Su just drew a big cake in the article to divert attention. After writing the article, it was just about time, so after Zhang Su sent the article away with an owl, he went to find the twin brothers. Chapter 172 One Cloud-Piercing Arrow. Strolling in the Forbidden Forest in the middle of the night is something worth bragging about for many Hogwarts students. As the Weasley twin brothers who are famous troublemakers in Hogwarts, and the famous good student Zhang Su, these three people often meet in the Forbidden Forest at night. When Zhang Su and the twin brothers came to the place where the dragons were locked up, the whole place was silent. The 7 fire dragons are all asleep, and occasionally one of the fire dragons makes a fire-breathing sound when it snores. The busy dragon trainers didn't know where to rest, and there was only one night shift James McGibbon in the whole venue. After a few pleasantries, James McGibbon took Zhang Su and the others to the cage where the fire dragons are now locked, and let Zhang Su and the others observe the fire dragons at close range, while introducing some of the characteristics of these fire dragons and some interesting things about them things. Through the introduction of James McGibbon, Zhang Su and the others knew that fire dragons are also picky eaters like children. The most important function of fire dragons is to brush their teeth. A fire dragon with a cold is the most dangerous. This kind of little knowledge is not found in books, and only those who deal with fire dragons all day will know it. The 4 of them walked down the circle and came to the cage of a fire dragon with one eye covered. At this moment, the black dragon of the Hashidia Islands, James McGibbon introduced to Zhang Su and the others. During yesterday's game, one of its eyes was injured by Crumb, and maybe its eyes will go blind. Its eyes still need 2 or 3 days of training before they can withstand the cold wind of flying at high altitude. When walking in front of the Peruvian Vipertith's cage, James McGibbon was about to continue introducing Zhang Su and the others, but was interrupted by Zhang Su. Mr. McGibbon, it's getting late. If you want to do something, please hurry up. We have to go back and have supper with our girlfriend. Zhang Su said. The twin brothers on the side nodded at James McGibbon at the same time. James McGibbon was stuck, not knowing what to say for a while. I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Zhang. James McGibbon said nervously. If you just want to show us these fire dragons, there's no need to add living hell potion to your colleague's dinner, Zhang Su said. There are also these fire dragons, as long as they are stimulated, they can all wake up. Zhang Su continued, there are also those cages, which seem to be very strong, but the fire dragons can be knocked away with just a few bumps. The expression on James McGibbon's face at this time was very exciting, and his originally fair face had begun to turn red. Mr. McGibbon, I advise you to tell us who ordered you to do this. After all, Veritaserum is quite expensive. Although Hogwarts is very rich now, it's better to save a little bit. Zhang Su said again, and I am quite familiar with the Dementors. I can ask them to make you not feel too uncomfortable in Azkaban. So, you should be honest. You are really a smart wizard, Mr. Zhang. James McGibbon said with a grim face, unfortunately, you are going to die here tonight. If you want to blame you for moving other people's money bags. After James McGibbon finished speaking, he raised his wand and waved it a few times, and something exploded in the cage that locked the fire dragon, and the fire dragons that had been sleeping woke up one after another. The fire dragon whose sleep was disturbed was very irritable and began to become restless. James McGibbon, who woke up the fire dragon, continued, unfortunately, 3 students planned to approach the fire dragon quietly tonight, but they accidentally opened the fire dragon's cage. Stop, Zhang Su interrupted James McGibbon. Needless to say these excuses, I can make up several in a minute. And the villain died because of talking too much, please talk less. At this time, the fire dragons began to hit the cages that closed them, and the originally strong cages began to become crumbling. "Go to hell, then," cried James McGibbon. "Do you know what the most powerful spell in Hogwarts is, Mr. McGibbon?" Zhang Su asked with a smile. "What is it?" James McGibbon asked subconsciously. "Professor Dumbledore is coming." Zhang Su waved his magic wand and fired a red flare into the sky, and then the flare exploded to form a set of patterns and characters. Peace. At the same time, the fire dragons broke open the cages that closed them one after another, and rushed towards Zhang Su and the others. James McGibbon turned to run, but was stopped by the Weasley brothers. At this moment, several figures suddenly appeared in the center of the venue. "This is Dumbledore with Professor McGonagall, Professor Flitwick, Professor Sprout, Snape, Moody and Scarly's special operation arrived using headmaster privileges." Immediately afterwards, Dumbledore and the others each found their target. Dumbledore transformed two tall stone men with transfiguration, and stopped in front of the Hungarian Horntail. Professor McGonagall stopped Lion Dragon. Professor Sprout and Professor Flitwick team up to take on the Welsh Green Dragon. Moody and the Black Dragon of the Heshidia Islands, who both had one eye, were fighting each other. Scarlet deals with the Swedish Brachiosaurus. Snape got into a fight with Ukrainian Iron Belly. Zhang Su took out a 2-meter-long thick steel rod from his treasure bag, transformed into an animagus, and swung the iron rod at the head of the Peruvian venomous dragon. The movements in the sky above the Forbidden Forest quickly attracted the attention of the students in Hogwarts Castle. When Cedric led a group of students to the edge of the Forbidden Forest with wands, two unexpected people stopped them. "Professor Lupin, what's going on in the Forbidden Forest?" Cedric asked. "Professor Dumbledore has already brought the other professors in, Mr. Diggory. You have people follow me, Hagrid, Black and Filch to seal off the surrounding area. Don't let anyone who is not Hogwarts go," said Lupin, "and, besides, I'm no longer a professor. At this time, the fighting situation in the Forbidden Forest has entered the most intense time. EO0. Degree O degree Greek letter new degree U Panda Zhang swung the steel stick to the left and right to greet the Peruvian Vipertith's mouth, causing it to get stuck in its throat and unable to spit it out, let alone rush forward to bite the panda. Not long after, the Peruvian Vipertith was beaten out of the wild, and began to pounce on Zhang Panda regardless of the injury. For a while, the situation of the giant panda Zhang became dangerous, and wounds from being bitten or scratched by the Peruvian Vipertith began to appear on his body. Fortunately, giant panda Zhang drank the anti-poison made from the venom of the 1,000-year-old basilisk 2 years ago, and his own permanent anti-poison property is not low. Zhang Su's task tonight is to entangle the fastest Peruvian viper-toothed dragon, so as not to let it interfere with other professors to deal with other fire dragons. That's why he gave up his identity as a magnate and turned into a berserker to fight hand-to-hand with the Peruvian venomous dragon. At the same time, Dumbledore wanted to take this opportunity to show off the muscles of Hogwarts to Showboxburton and Durmstrang, so that Madame Maxime and Coquello, who thought that Dumbledore wanted to float when he was old husband, recognized the reality. Otherwise Zhang Su would have pulled out 40 fires and boom boom boom. Grasping the opportunity of a Peruvian vipertooth falling to the ground, Zhang Panda, regardless of the black ridge scale on its neck piercing its buttocks, sat on its neck and slammed it on the head with a steel rod. When the Peruvian vipertooth was knocked unconscious, all the horns on its head were broken. Zhang Su was the last one to solve his own goal. Not long before that, other professors completed their tasks. Seeing that work was over here, the Weasley brothers knocked out James McGibbon, who was trying to escape, and then captured him. After Dumbledore bound the dragons with chains as thick as his arms, he led everyone back to Hogwarts Castle. Under the reflection of the fire in the Forbidden Forest, Dumbledore walked out of the Forbidden Forest with his slightly injured professors. After getting the news, Madame Maxim and Karkaroff were gathering outside the Forbidden Forest with their students. Fudge, the British Minister of Magic, who hurried over, stood aside with a few orders. The three parties wanted to go in to help, but they were all declined by Lupin, and were blocked outside the Forbidden Forest by the students of Hogwarts. Seeing their headmaster bring the professors back in victory, the Hogwarts students were the first to applaud. Fudge and the Aurors followed suit. In the end, Mrs. Maxim and Karkaroff also had to applaud with their students. After briefly explaining the situation to Mrs. Maxim and Karkaroff, Dumbledore approached Fudge, who listened carefully to Dumbledore's words. James McGibbon, who was bundled into rice dumplings, was handed over to the Auror. The tired Zhang Su didn't stop much, and walked back to Hogwarts Castle by himself, and went to the school infirmary for treatment. Zhang Su, who took the medicine amid Madame Pomfrey's nagging, fell asleep in the ward of the school infirmary after drinking a bottle of strange antidote. Chapter 173 Peeves will do good things too. After lying in the school infirmary all night, Zhang Su continued to jump up and down. Fiorin came to deliver supper last night. Zhang Su managed to make her happy. Then Peeves came over, and Zhang Su praised him severely. First, the abnormal situation in the Quidditch World Cup riots, then Scarlet's warning and someone trying to cheat Ron, plus Lucius Malfoy's warning in the last school year and the suspicious werewolf attack on Ho. The Germwad incident. Zhang Su had to cheer up to deal with various incidents in the past year. In terms of intelligence, there is a conscientious Western reporter outside, and there is a recruited Peeves in Hogwarts. Peeves was the first to find out last night that James McGibbon had used the sweat potion to bring down the other dragon tamers. After receiving Peeves' information, Zhang Su immediately figured out the cause and effect, and then reported the matter to Dumbledore in detail. After receiving the information from Peeves, Dumbledore, who was watching the debate, spent a few minutes working out a plan for tonight's action. On the grounds that tonight's debate was very exciting, Dumbledore first announced that the debate could be postponed until 11 o'clock, and then invited a number of professors from Hogwarts who could fight over, and finally, just to be on the safe side, led his patron saint went to inform Lupin and Black, who are now in Hogsmeade, to come to support. So when Zhang Su released the cloud-piercing arrow, Dumbledore immediately used the headmaster's privilege of apparating in Hogwarts, and led a group of people to kill him. The process went smoothly, and everything was under Dumbledore's control. James McGibbon, who was captured alive, has been handed over to the Minister of Magic, Fudge. Fudge assured Dumbledore that the Ministry of Magic would not save the truth potion, and they would definitely give Hogwarts an explanation. A large group of people were sent to the Dragon Training Center early in the morning to ensure that all the dragons were transported away before lunch today. This time there was such a big disturbance, the Dragon Training Farm refunded the rent of the 7 fire dragons double. After finishing breakfast, Zhang Su sat at the table in the cafeteria and watched today's Daily Prophet. The first match of the Triwizard Tournament was covered yesterday. In the news, Rita Skeeter took Fleur, who scored first, and focused on Cedric and Ron, who tied for second. In Rita Skeeter's writing, Cedric and Ron face the ferocious fire dragon without fear, fight wits and courage with the fire dragon, and after a narrow escape, they defeat the fire dragon and obtain the golden egg. Especially when the two of them teamed up to obtain the second golden egg, Rita Skeeter even boasted about it. After reading the news, even Ron, who always liked to brag, felt that she was exaggerating too much. If my mother hadn't come to watch the game that day, I believe she would cry with worry after reading the newspaper. Today's newspaper headlines are about the cauldron, and Rita Skeeter cites a series of examples, such as the accidental leakage of the cauldron by an unnamed potions professor at Hogwarts while refining the potion. The quality problem is written as the country will not be the country if things go on like this. Zhang Su saw right away that Rita Skeeter was singing a double read with Percy Weasley. A few days later, the report should be touting Percy's Crucible report. I don't know the two of them. When did you hook up? Regarding what happened last night, the Daily Prophet only mentioned it in the corner of the 4th page. It only said that it was a fire dragon commotion, and Dumbledore took action to solve it. In the following days, a more shocking news spread throughout Hogwarts. Not a dozen guinea fowls that Professor McGonagall used in Transfiguration class suddenly disappeared, and a certain professor was hanged upside down by the kitchen door by an angry Professor McGonagall. The Christmas ball is coming. Students from 3 schools have been discussing this topic recently. The students who had lovers invited their lovers immediately. As soon as Zhang Su got the news, he invited Fu Rong immediately, so as not to make any accidents when he got there. The single dogs began to run around, trying to find their dance partners before the dance. Zhang Su, the chief advisor of the Hogwarts Single Dog Care Association, was threatened by a group of people. These single dogs said that if Zhang Su didn't help them, they would invite Gabriel to the dance. Zhang Su hung them upside down on the roof of the corridor. In the end, Zhang Su still helped them. Zhang Su found Professor Sprout, and the two of them arranged a rose garden that bloomed all year round in a corner of the lake overnight. In this way, the Blind Date Corner, which has carried the lush love of countless boys and girls in Hogwarts in the next few decades, was established. Next, Zhang Su drove the group of single dogs there to hold a dance partner selection meeting. After driving away the group of single dogs, Zhang Su found a new situation at the corner of a corridor. Weasley's twins, Ginny and Harry, were hiding behind the corner together, seeming to be eavesdropping on the people in the next corridor who's talking. Feeling gossipy, Zhang Su immediately went over to join in the fun. In the next corridor, Ron and Hermione stood facing each other. The two of them seemed so stupid to stand silent for a while. Finally, it was Ron who spoke first. "Hermione, you know, warriors have their own partners, and the dance is held by warriors and their partners. I think I would like to invite you to be my partner." "Why me?" Hermione asked after a moment. "Because Ron stuck. If it's Zhang Su, you won't get stuck in this situation. It will make the girl feel that you are thinking of excuses, and what you say next will not be sincere. So in this case, no matter what the consequences are, say that you like the other party first. Picking up girls is all about being bold, careful and thick-skinned." But now Ron naturally doesn't understand this, and then he still gave his excuse. "You helped me unravel the clue of the golden egg that day, to thank you," so Ron said awkwardly. At this time, the 5 people who were eavesdropping behind the corner covered their faces and were speechless. "So it is," Hermione replied, somewhat disappointed. "Then you." Ron was at a loss. "Okay, I agree," Hermione replied nonchalantly, as if she had promised to go to the library with Ron. Hearing Hermione's answer, Ron had a smirk on his face. When the eavesdropping group of 5 was just about to appear, they suddenly heard Hermione let out an exclamation of awe. The eavesdropping group of 5 quickly poked their heads out from behind the corner, and they saw Ron pinning Hermione to the corner, and their faces were pressed tightly together. Among the onlookers, only Zhang Su saw that Peeves, who had helped Ron, flicked off his clothes, hiding his achievements and fame. Chapter 174. Christmas is here. The weather was getting colder and colder, and one morning, everyone was delighted to find that it was snowing heavily in the sky. Many students are looking forward to the arrival of the weekend, because the snow means that the Hogwarts snowball fight is about to start. This year's prize is said to be roasted guinea fowl. Zhang Su and the twin brothers walked out of the principal's office. As soon as they left the door of the principal's office, the twin brothers happily discussed non-stop. After being attacked by a fire dragon a while ago, the dragon training field made great efforts to stabilize the emotions of the people in distress. Dragon Training Farm paid, gold coins for mental damage to each of the 3 people in distress. Getting this money was timely for the Weasley brothers. They encountered difficulties in developing new products, and it was time for them to invest a lot more, and because they had no phased results, it was difficult for them to find Zhang Su for additional investment. Recently, twin brother biscuits have become popular among students. The students of the 3 schools welcomed this prank snack very much, and the twin brothers received orders like a snowflake. Now in Hogwarts, from time to time, students can be seen turning into various birds, from ostriches to swans, after eating a biscuit. Seeing the good sales momentum of their products and abundant funds, the twin brothers devoted themselves to the research and development of new products with greater enthusiasm. It's just that everyone's tossing around has greatly damaged the trust between people in the castle, and now no one eats the snacks handed over by others. Even Zhang Su was tricked by Gabriel once, and he turned into a penguin after eating the biscuits Gabriel fed. During dinner one day, Fu Rong said to Zhang Su, "I don't think I can go on like this. Zhang Su, since I came to Hogwarts, I have eaten too much every day." Fleur looked at the hot and delicious stew on the table and said, "My dress robe can't fit anymore." If Zhang Su said at this time, "Let me help you widen the robe," he would definitely be tied up by Fu Rong and thrown into the lake. From then on, in order to comfortably wear her gown at the Christmas banquet, Fleur lived a life of doing aerobic gymnastics or skipping rope under the supervision of Zhang Su every night. As for the weight loss potion and the fat-burning magic, Zhang Su banned Fu Rong from using it on the grounds that it was too harmful to the body. In terms of diet, Fleur has also started to control her eating in moderation, and she no longer eats whatever Zhang Su gives her. After having another dinner with Fu Rong, mainly fruit salad and boiled chicken, Zhang Su and Fu Rong left the cafeteria together. In the corridor, Ron and Hermione walked ahead, seeming to be talking about dress robes. Malfoy, who was walking behind them, suddenly exclaimed, "Are you kidding? What about Weasley? Don't you actually invite that guy to represent Hogwarts at the ball as the Warriors' partner? That big scumbag. Degree oh, you try it again." Zhang Su, who was walking behind Malfoy, slapped Malfoy on the back of the head. "Believe it or not, I will punish you to shovel snow in the Forbidden Forest." Malfoy, who was clutching the back of his head, didn't dare to be angry or speak out. He couldn't afford to offend him. "You twitching little white cat, why do you want fish, Malfoy?" Hermione said sharply as she took out a dried fish for Crookshanks and handed it to Malfoy. Looking at the small dried fish that Hermione handed him, Malfoy trembled with anger. The fact that he was turned into a cat was the greatest shame in his life so far. But he just couldn't take revenge. After the farce was over, everyone went about their business. It was Christmas soon, and Furong and Gabriel arrived at Zhang Su's dormitory early in the morning. Although Furin can live with Zhang Su, this is a school after all, and the two of them dare not go too far, so after the first game, Furin will return to the carriage most of the time. When Sister Furin came in, Zhang Su was unpacking the Christmas presents. Unlike previous years, this year Zhang Su received a Christmas gift from his family. In the past, it was inconvenient to send things all the way. This year, Zhang Su's father, second uncle and uncle came to Hogwarts to watch the game, so they put the gifts in the embassy by the way, and entrusted the old comrades who are military attachés in the embassy to give them Christmas gifts. Send it to Zhang Su during the festival. Zhang Su's grandfather sent a book of notes he took when he was learning alchemy when he was young, which recorded many tricks of alchemy. Zhang Su's grandma sent a dark blue scarf that she wove herself, which was of the same style as the light blue scarf around Furin's neck and the silver-white scarf around Gabriel's neck. Zhang Su's grandpa and grandma brought a guitar, his mother brought a new one sleeve, his second uncle brought a model of a nuclear black fish that had just been decrypted, and his uncle brought a model that could fly around the room. All kinds of maneuverable Su-27 aircraft models. My cousin sent a Kong I picked up in Nansha. My cousin sent a whole set of 5-year college entrance examination and 3-year simulations. My father sent a box of canned food, oranges in addition to his family. Mr. Zhao sent a set of the 4 treasures of the study, which were obviously antiques. Such 4 treasures of the study were not for ordinary use, but for a family heirlooms. Mr. Jin sent figures of the SOS troupe who can dance in the troupe. Dong Niaya sent a set of dolls based on Zhang Su. Krum also sent a signed figure of himself to Zhang Su. The Christmas presents that Zhang Su prepared for his friends this year are all ink paintings of characters drawn by himself, such as Harry riding on a broomstick and preparing to catch the golden snitch, Ron holding a golden egg, Hermione reading a book, sitting Scarlet drinking black tea at the table. Even Filch, Zhang Su also drew a picture of Mrs. Norris, who has now fattened up, and gave it to him. As for the picture of Hibiscus emerging from the water that Zhang Su quietly drew after returning from the bathroom, it was a gift to her 100 years later. What Zhang Su gave her this year was a necklace, which happened to be useful for this Christmas ball. Zhang Su and the others had been playing around in the dormitory until noon before going to the cafeteria for lunch. When the food was served, the corners of Zhang Su's mouth twitched. The main course on today's lunch table is turkey, honey roast turkey, cumin roast turkey, fried turkey, golden crispy turkey, all turkeys as far as the eye can see, and there are so many piles of Christmas pudding and cream-beachy wizard crackers. Zhang Su didn't eat much for lunch. He had already obtained Dobby's inside information, and he wanted to save his stomach to eat tonight. After lunch, Zhang Su went outside the castle to play snowman fights with everyone. This is a game brought by the students of Durmstrang. They use magic to build snowmen, and then let the snowmen fight to win. In the end, all the snowmen on the snow were swept away by Zhang Su's ZGX-20 Strike Frito. Chapter 175 The banquet begins. After playing around outside the castle until after 5 o'clock, Zhang Su and Fu Rong came to Boxburton's carriage together and began to prepare for tonight's dinner. This was the first time Zhang Su stepped into Boxburton's carriage. As soon as you enter the door, you will see a luxuriously decorated hall, with corridors on the left and right sides, and students' dormitories on both sides of the corridor. Zhang Su greeted the Boxburton students he knew, and followed Fu Rong to her room. Furin's room is a double room with a bathroom, and she lives with Gabrielle. After Furin took a bath, she changed into her gown. It was a light blue robe that was similar in color to Furin's eyes. This robe was designed and made by a designer Zhang Su hired in France, and the material was made of silk provided by him. This robe is exquisite in design, materials and craftsmanship, which sets off the beauty of hibiscus. As for the price, it is also amazing. After putting on the robe, Fu Rong sat in front of the vanity mirror and asked Zhang Su to do her makeup. The natural beauty of hibiscus does not require too much makeup, just a simple light makeup. Finally, after Zhang Su helped Furin trim her eyebrows and eyelashes a little, and helped her put on a pearly lipstick. The makeup on the face was basically completed. Then Zhang Su sprayed a bottle of beautifully packaged hair conditioner evenly on her hair, and then combed her soft hair neatly. In the end, I sprayed a little potion on Fu Rong's hair, which is said to be prepared for her by Dong Nia. When I looked closely, I could see the faint starlight on her silver hair. After putting on makeup, Zhang Su put on Fu Rong a diamond necklace that reflected dazzling brilliance. Then there are sapphire earrings and bracelets. After Furin was fully armed, Zhang Su himself was stunned for a moment, and Furin gave a smile. Then Zhang Su took care of himself, tidying up his short, broken hair to make himself look more mature. After thinking about it, Zhang Su gave up the idea of using body deformation to temporarily complete the earlobe of the left ear. Finally, Zhang Su put on a blue robe representing Ravenclaw College. After the two dressed up, the time was almost up. Fleur was representing Boxbuttons tonight, so she had to go to the auditorium with the Boxbuttons. As Furin's partner, Boxbutton's son-in-law Zhang Su must act together with Furin. This is what Dumbledore told Zhang Su 2 days ago. Why didn't you see Dong Nia? Zhang Su asked Fu Rong when walking towards Hogwarts Castle. You'll know later, Fu Rong said with a smile. Zhang Su figured it out soon. When he met Durmstrang's students in front of the castle gate, Zhang Su saw Dong Nia walking beside Krum. The crowd soon arrived in front of the auditorium, where many students had already gathered. At this time, Professor McGonagall's voice sounded in the foyer. Warriors, please come here. Fu Rong took Zhang Su's hand, and the two walked to Professor McGonagall together. After the 4 warriors gathered with their dance partners, the scene was a little awkward for a while. Zhang Su, Ron, and Cedric were all held by girls, and Dong Nia beside Krum seemed unwilling to hold Krum's arm. Professor McGonagall wore a red tartan robe with a garland of flowers on the brim of his hat. Zhang Su can guarantee that he has seen all the words on the garland in herbal medicine class. Professor McGonagall told the 4 warriors to stand by the door with their partners, and let the others go in first. After everyone else was seated, they lined up into the auditorium. Only then did Zhang Su begin to look at the other people. Ron, who was standing opposite Zhang Su, was wearing a red robe decorated with golden patterns, which matched his hair very well. Hermione next to Ron was wearing a light purple robe. Her hair has been restyled to look smooth and shiny. In addition, her front teeth have returned to their normal size, making her face more attractive. These changes made her look elegant. Fleur, who had known Hermione in Diagon Alley before, kept teasing her that the ugly duckling had turned into a black swan. Facing Fleur's teasing, Hermione lowered her head a little embarrassedly, while Ron smirked aside. Just like when Furin was teasing Hermione, Zhang Su looked at Cedric with a look of an old man looks at his son-in-law. Today Cedric is wearing a black robe trimmed with yellow. The mature and stable style of the robe and his sunny and handsome face look unexpectedly harmonious. Zhang Chu, who was standing next to Cedric, glared at Zhang Su angrily when he saw his eldest nephew's funny eyes. Today, Zhang Chu wore an emerald green robe, and he looked slim and graceful. When Zhang Su looked at her with the expression of "my cabbage is growing gratifyingly," she gave Zhang Su a blank stare. What surprised Zhang Su was Dong Nia. She dressed up a little more beautifully than usual today, but she was wearing a loose robe that covered her foul figure. Soon, professors began entering the auditorium. Most of today's professors wear colorful robes that are different from those in the past. A professor who is 16 years old and a few hundred months old even wore a lovely pink robe today. After the professors entered the auditorium, the students began to enter the auditorium. Today, everyone is no longer wearing school uniforms, but colorful robes. Most of the students walked into the auditorium with their partners. In the dance partner pairing, there are not only familiar combinations, but also some surprising pairings. Harry and Ginny walked into the Great Hall together, and Ron greeted them both cheerfully. Behind Fred Weasley and Angelina Johnson was an unexpected combination of George Weasley and Daphne Greengrass. God knows how the two of them hooked up. There was no news before Zhang Su remembered that George's former sister was his teammate on the Quidditch team, and he didn't know when he changed. Malfoy's 2 followers, Crabbe and Goyle, are the rare students who don't have a partner. Of course, it cannot be ruled out that the two of them are each other's dance partners. Not long after, under Zhang Su's murderous gaze, Neville led Gabriel into the auditorium. Neville and Hannah, who followed him, showed a helpless smile to Zhang Su and Fu Rong. Gabriel wanted to participate in the fun Christmas ball early in the morning, but she was a first-year student, and Zhang Su and Fu Rong were unwilling to take her into the auditorium, so she found a good-natured person who would not be tied up by Zhang Su afterwards. Neville, whose stone sank to the bottom of the lake, helped. After the professor and the students were seated in the auditorium, Professor McGonagall asked the warriors and their dance partners to line up 2 by 2 and follow her in. Zhang Su and the others filed in and walked towards the big round table where the referee sat at the front of the auditorium. The people in the auditorium applauded enthusiastically. The warriors, led by Professor McGonagall, came to the guest table and sat down. Ron and Hermione sat next to Percy, and today Percy came to tonight's banquet as the representative of old Barty Crouch. Seeing Percy's smug look, Zhang Su almost wanted to tell him that his boss was living with a living two-hole socket. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.